4 straight games, and now they have a turn at the short week. They head to Atlanta tonight to visit the Atlanta Falcons. Thursday Night Football, New England 6-4, 6.5-point road favorites, according to Caesars Sportsbook, against an Atlanta team that could be playing extremely shorthanded, especially on the offensive side. Also, especially if Cordell Patterson is not able to go with an ankle injury. Thursday Night Football kick a little after 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Among the games for Sunday, the Bears play host to the Baltimore Ravens, with the clock ticking on Matt Nagy's time in Chicago. Former Bear, current ESPN 1000 radio host in Chicago, Tom Waddle.
I think everybody has run out of patience, to be honest. I mean, look, they threw this kid down a flight of stairs with their game plan against the Cleveland Browns in week 3. I mean, it was criminal what they put him into. We've been very critical of how he has failed to develop quarterbacks. Before Justin, it was Mitch Trubisky. And I think a lot of the progress that Justin is making now is directly related to Justin's ability to adapt to the game quicker than most young quarterbacks.
That is Tom Waddle on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max this morning. Lamar Jackson did not practice. Ravens and the Bears on Sunday. LeBron James 50-50 tomorrow night for
We're
LA.
back Friday reacting to Thursday Night Football as Mac Jones tries to keep this incredible run going as the Patriots go for their 5th straight win, plus an elimination game in the Big Ten. That's Friday morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Ryan Clark, bottom of this hour. Fantasy Blitz later this hour as well. We'll head up to Monroe, chat with Emily Hernandez from the Monroe News Star next hour. Get a little bit of a thumbnail on LSU's opponent this weekend. Yes, LSU is playing a football game this weekend. They'll play ULM. Tigers will try to get to their 5th win of the season. Heavy favorites, but there's at least some intrigue with Terry Bowden bringing his squad in. Rich Rod at offensive coordinator. That's a ULM team that's hit the skids. That they're starting strong. They've lost 3 in a row, and they'll need to win their next 2 if they want to get to bowl eligibility. That'll be almost impossible having to play LSU and ULL, but that's the task for Terry Bowden and the squad. So we'll get at least a thumbnail on ULM coming up next hour. Mike Triplett in hour 3. We'll talk plenty of Saints. Speaking of the LSU ULM game, I know so much of the conversation is, and rightfully so, around the coaching search. It's just what matters much more than however LSU manages to finish this forgotten season. But they'll play ULM, and Ed Orgeron did his show last night, his penultimate show as the coach of LSU, provided they don't make a bowl game. And he did give an injury update on his team heading into ULM.
You know, we feel like we got Sage Ryan back. That's going to help us at nickelback. Cordell Flott is going to be there. He's going to play well. Glenn Logan is there. He's healthy. Our defensive line is healthy. Sonny Fanu was a little banged up. We're going to get him. Michael Baskerville is a little banged up, but he's going to play.
So, tip of the cap to Baskerville as well. He's played exceptionally well here in his senior year. He's going to have a chance to rise up some draft boards. Flott is worth watching. Just if you're kind of keeping an eye on, who might return, who's going to have a decision to make. Flott's one of those guys. I mean, before his injury, we talked about Cordell Flott. Pro Football Focus had him rated as the best nickelback in college football this year. It's a dramatic improvement from a year ago to now. And we kind of talked about how Flott was a guy who was going to have a decision to make. And then when they lost Stingley and Ricks, Flott moved to the outside. Sage Ryan moved to the nickel. You know the story by now. It seems like both those guys will be back this week, which is a great thing. But Flott is still going to have a decision to make. Does he return for another year in Baton Rouge, his senior year, to play for whoever the new coach is? Or has he elevated his draft stock enough to be able to jump, be picked, and start his NFL career? One guy worth watching in these final 2 weeks and what may happen. He did also, Ed Orgeron did also talk about the quarterback situation, and this has been an ongoing conversation, right? I mean, they started Max Johnson. Nussmeier played the remainder of the game. Earlier this week, Orgeron said if he were Nuss, he'd redshirt the remainder of the year because he didn't play well enough. But he was asked about playing Nuss and the decision to play Nussmeier this past week against Arkansas.
I wanted to give Garrett a chance. You just don't want to put a quarterback in there for 2 series and take him out. Max has had his chance all year. I wanted to give him a fair chance. I didn't want him to feel pressure that he messed up on one play that was coming out.
Part of me gets that, but you put that same pressure on Max Johnson in the first 2 series, and I'll still maintain that this was a counter perspective to what Ed Orgeron did in 2017. And this is the type of decision you make when you've been fired already. And you don't have to play to win to keep your job. Remember in 2017, after the Troy loss, they went to Danny Etling. I mean, Brennan was the higher upside quarterback, but Ed Orgeron played Danny Etling because he knew Etling was going to protect the football and get to the running backs and wasn't as dynamic, but he made the decision to go with the safer option that wouldn't win him games, but certainly wouldn't lose him games. He basically did the exact opposite of that here. And LSU, quite honestly, I think would have beaten Arkansas had you played the more veteran, more experienced quarterback who has proven he's better at protecting the football. So, again, it's a decision I think Ed Orgeron was willing to make because he wasn't trying to keep his job. If the decision hadn't yet been made to fire Ed Orgeron going into last Saturday, Max Johnson would have played that entire game because Ed Orgeron would have been doing his best to win games to try to keep his job. And that's the guy who would have given him the best chance to do so instead of just giving Nussmeier a chance because he could. So LSU this week, they'll play ULM. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in the next hour, as we mentioned, with Emily Hernandez, who covers ULM for the Monroe News Star. Interestingly enough, that ULM offense, LSU and ULM statistically are very similar. LSU 365 yards a game, ULM 330. ULM's defense, they've been a little more susceptible, giving up 464 a game. But that ULM offense, 197 passing, 133 rushing. Rich Rod, usually pretty balanced, but very good and deceptive and creative in the running game. So it'll be a big test for that LSU run defense to see if they can play well against that scheme from ULM that we're going to see on Saturday in Tiger Stadium. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. We're going to change things up a little bit here. Ryan Clark's going to be with us via phone at the bottom of this hour, so we'll do Around the SEC in the next segment. And I know everyone's following coaching searching news, and one guy that a lot of fans have asked about is Lane Kiffin, and apparently now Kiffin's name is popping up prominently with another job that could likely come open. We'll get to that when we go around the SEC here in a few moments. LSU basketball back on the hardwood tonight. They take on McNeese. Will Wade and his media availability talked about this McNeese team that the Tigers are going to face tonight at the Maravich Center.
McNeese set the school record for steals in their last game. They had 22 steals. They're shooting it better from three. They were 12 of 30 from three. Francois and TJ Moss, a transfer from South Carolina, both are shooting, 40% on the season from three. And the big kid's a problem. They've got a 7'1", 7'2" kid transferred from VCU. He's good. He's huge. They play through him when he's in there on offense. And so they do a good job. Coach Aiken's a good friend of mine. He does a great job with them. They play extremely hard. They get after it. Defensively, they use their defense to create offense, and so be a challenge. They play so hard. They've been in, they've played TCU and SMU. They've been in those games for long stretches. Final score hadn't reflected how well they've played and how long they've been in those games.
So LSU and McNeese tonight from the Maravich Center. I'll tell you a few things to keep an eye on. And while this game, the line in this game, I believe, is 28. I mean, LSU is just a heavy favorite, and they're going to blow McNeese off the floor. But when there's games like this, usually what you want to see is your team do certain things and check certain boxes. LSU's played 3 times. They've yet to allow an opponent to score 60. That would be nice to keep that streak alive tonight. I would love to see 2 things Will Wade always talks about. Win the rebounding battle, which LSU should against McNeese in this ballgame tonight. And then I would love to, although McNeese through 3 games does out-rebound LSU. They're at 41 a game. LSU's at 38. Would Would love to see LSU win the rebounding battle. And then the other thing Will Wade always talks about is making more free throws than the opponent attempts. Through 3 games, LSU's yet to do that. They were even in the last game out, where it was 18 made free throws and 18 attempted by the opponent. But LSU's yet to do that. So a couple of things that Will Wade likes to see, check those boxes. And then who steps up? I mean, of course, Darius Day's scoring is one thing we'll always keep an eye on. But in the game against Texas State last Friday, Will Wade said appropriately in the first half that Alex Fudge saved them in the first half. And then Alex Fudge really was a non-factor against Liberty, and it was Eric Gaines who stepped up and had the monster game defensively. So who might it be in the rotation tonight as a lot of guys start to develop and grow into roles? We'll see. It's LSU McNeese, 7 o'clock tip from the Maravich Center if you're getting out there to check it out, or you can listen to it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. All right, it's after further review. Quick break. We'll go around the SEC. Do want to talk about the Lane Kiffin coaching rumors. We'll get to that here in just a quick second. Ryan Clark, bottom of the hour. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
For 120 years, our friends at Hancock Whitney Bank have had their mantra, which is your dreams, our mission. That's Hancock Whitney Bank. HancockWhitney.com. If you want to find a financial center near you, HancockWhitney.com. If you're a small business and you want that small business banker, Hancock Whitney is a great option. Maybe for your own personal checking or savings accounts, Hancock Whitney is a great option. Hancock Whitney is the official banking partner of the LSU Tigers, of the New Orleans Saints, and of me, and so many of you for the last century plus. HancockWhitney.com. When you go all across the Gulf South, you will see so many Hancock Whitney branches. So really your bank goes with you wherever you go along the Gulf Coast. Hancock Whitney Bank for more than 120 years. Your dreams, our mission. That's their mantra. Learn how they live that every single day at HancockWhitney.com. Hancock Whitney Bank, member FDIC.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal. For more information, visit garciadidmyroof.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Right now, at Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get a new Highlander with 1.9% financing for 72 months, or we have several new Tundras in stock with the 5.7 V8 engine. So come see us today for your new Toyota. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All I can say is it's a good thing that we work here in SEC country and not in the Big 12, because I'm quite confident I would have been reprimanded many times by the league office. Is that a fair statement?
That's very fair.
I mean, my goodness. Especially back in 2016 with the Florida, LSU, Hurricane Matthew, do the Sankey leg and all that sort of stuff back then. If you haven't heard, the Big 12 has issued a public reprimand of the Texas Tech football radio announcers. Saturday, Texas Tech was playing Iowa State. The game was in Lubbock, and Texas Tech did win. In the fourth quarter, they were up 10, 38-28, and the Texas Tech radio crew made up of Brian Jensen, the play-by-play man, and analyst John Harris were on the broadcast critical of the officials during the game. Here's a slight sampling of what they said.
I'll say it right now. The Big 12 does not want Iowa State to lose this game.
Yeah, Bob Bowlesby, you need to answer to this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I've seen some horrendous calls today.
This is ridiculous.
That went on. The clip was about 2 minutes long. I mean, through that replay, through the action. It went on and on and on, but it was a lot of that. So the Big 12 has said, Bob Bowlesby in the statement said, I understand the roles of the play-by-play and color analyst. However, as university representatives, they also have an obligation to adhere to conference policy regarding comments about officials. I fundamentally disagree with that. If you were to comb through every single radio broadcast of every single school, you would hear every single play-by-play man make comments about every single officiating crew in every single game. It's the nature of doing play-by-play when you're doing a home broadcast, where you are going to be slanted toward your audience, which is the home broadcast or the home or you understand what I mean, of the team that you broadcast. So I fundamentally disagree with that. Shame on the Big 12. That's absolutely absurd to suspend a radio crew. I should mention that the radio crew has been suspended. They will not call this week's game between Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. But Brian Jensen did, I guess, get the last laugh because Texas Tech won the game on a 62-yard walk-off, and he got to call it.
Well, here it goes. Tied at 38, 3 seconds to go, 62-yard try. Garibay has his foot into it. It may be long enough. It is good! It is good! It is good! Jonathan Garibay has won the game with a 62-yard field goal! Oh, my God, can you believe that? Woo! Yeah, baby!
That is absolutely the role of the play-by-play announcer, is to yell, to have his voice crack, to scream, yeah, baby, when the kicker at Texas Tech drills a 62-yard field goal to win the game over Iowa State, especially when the Big 12 office clearly did not want Iowa State to lose that game. It was so obvious.
Listen to that. You think Texas Tech just stayed undefeated.
Hey, bro. I'm going to tell you, man.
I love it.
When you have that kind of a season, when you're calling like Texas Tech is having, when the coach has already been fired, they're 6-4 at the time they were 5-4. I mean, you're pushing for a bowl game. You're playing a conference game, a rival. Brother, it does also put into perspective how different it is when you're at a place like Texas Tech and LSU.
A little bit.
It's perspective matters, man. It really does. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. I want to get to the Lane Kiffin reports here in just a quick second. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, again, ShawBillsTire.com with 18 locations in South Louisiana. Tell you every day to find the location nearest you. You can go to the website. You can search by tire. You can search by location to find the location nearest you. You can schedule service online at ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices, ShawBillsTire.com. That's Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, we do it every day. Well, we're a little early because we got RC coming up here in just a minute. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Ole Miss Rebels
So Lane Kiffin, those of us who know him best call him Kiff. Called him Kiff for years. Every time I see him.
No, you haven't.
Yes.
No.
Look, there he is right there on the Feinbaum show. Our buddy Kiff. There he
that
is.
is him, but
How
you
about
don't
that?
know him.
Kiff. I do know Kiff. See him every year at SEC Media Days. Known him for years. Old Kiff. That's what those of us who know him best call him.
Nobody calls him that.
Everybody.
Nobody.
Only the
calls him
people who know him best.
So, no. Nobody.
Yes. Those of us who know him best. Some of you say Lane Train, or what's the other one that people say about Kiffin?
I don't know.
Someone will post it. Like, it's not like a Rico Suave or a Don Juan type deal, like a Panama Jack or so. It's something like that. Someone will post it. Someone knows what I'm talking about. All right, anyway, Lane Kiffin, according to a report from Andy Slater, says Kiffin would leave Ole Miss for the University of Miami if the Hurricane coaching job were to come open. That, according to multiple sources close to Kiffin. Andy Slater tweeted that. And that's the report. Also, infamous Canes booster Nevin Shapiro claims Kiffin is a top candidate to become the Hurricanes' next head coach. Miami parted ways with athletic director Blake James, and effectively means Manny Diaz is, the clock is ticking there. He's been put on notice. Ole Miss is 8-2, ranked 10th in the AP poll right now. Of course, Kiffin previously coached at FAU there in South Florida.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia linebacker Adam Anderson is expected to be released on $25,000 bond this evening after a bond hearing. Anderson was arrested, charged with felony rape last Wednesday. A 21-year-old woman filed the report in Athens, Clark County Police on Friday, October the 29th. An unnamed second accuser actually has also come forward claiming Anderson raped her in October of 2020. Anderson has been indefinitely suspended. He is not expected to play again for Georgia this season. At 6'5", 235, he was ranked as the top outside linebacker in the 2022 NFL Draft.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
This is an absolutely horrifying story. Former Vanderbilt running back Zach Stacy is facing 2 felony charges stemming from an incident where he attacked his ex-girlfriend. He punched her, threw her into a television. A pretty terrifying altercation that has been captured on video and has made its way around the internet. If convicted, the aggravated battery charge carries up to 15 years in prison. The criminal mischief carries up to 5 years in prison. Zach Stacy is on the loose right now. Victim of the attack is urging anyone with information regarding his whereabouts to come forward to law enforcement. Zach Stacy, police say, is on the run following this attack.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn will be without TD Moultrie for the first half against South Carolina due to controversial targeting call in the fourth quarter of last week's loss to Mississippi State. But they are expected to get Romello Height back. He's missed the last 3 games for undisclosed reasons. Expected to return to the Tigers this weekend against the Gamecocks. 6'3", 214-pounder. He was part of Auburn's rotation for the first 7 games before missing the last 3. Height's one of 2 defensive linemen who've been away from the team for the last 3 games, the other being defensive end Caleb Johnson.
The Florida Gators.
Trio of Florida Gators headed to the Reese's Senior Bowl. Defensive end Zachary Carter, linebacker Jeremiah Moon, running back Damian Pierce are all headed to Mobile, Alabama for that game. Also, Florida's final SEC game is Saturday at Missouri. It'll be a homecoming for Jadarius Perkins, who signed with Missouri as a top 5 JUCO recruit before transferring to Florida for this season.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
And John Calipari is leaving open the possibility that number 1 ranked recruit Shaden Sharp play for Kentucky this year. So Sharp reclassified. He signed with the Wildcats last week. He's set to join the team at semester break, but the plan has been all along for Sharp to practice with the Cats for the second half of the season and prepare for his college debut next year. But Cal is leaving open the possibility that Sharp play this year for the Wildcats. In basketball news around the league, some finals from last evening. Arkansas beat Northern Iowa 93-80. JD Note had 17 points, 8 boards, and 9 assists for the Hogs. Texas A&M blew out Houston Baptist 73-39. How about this score? VCU went to Nashville and beat Vanderbilt 48-37. I'm going to say this again slowly. A really for real IRL final score from a Southeastern Conference home gym. Vanderbilt lost at home to VCU 48-37. Yes, that was in regulation. The game was not shortened. Vanderbilt scored 15 points in the second half. And Mississippi State blew out something called Detroit Mercy. Have mercy. There you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and all our friends over at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you get at Gulf Coast Office Products, the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers and the New Orleans Saints. That's Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com. Joey Freshwater, that was it. Thank you to Brian Short, who tweeted that to me. That's what I was thinking of, the nickname for Lane Kiffin. Shout out, thank you to, who I'll say his name again, Brian Short, on Twitter at BrianShort1. Thank you. So Lane Kiffin and Miami is really interesting because, so back in September, when it became clear initially that Ed Orgeron was not going to keep his job, I got a call from someone connected with Ole Miss who effectively told me the same thing, that the fear was that Lane Kiffin was going to leave for Miami, but that he has interest in the LSU job and that was starting to trend a little bit. And it was one of the first names that I mentioned in connection with the LSU job. Now, that's cooled a lot, and I've been told flatly by some that Lane Kiffin is just flatly a no in Scott Woodward's eyes. And if that's the case, Lane Kiffin could be looking elsewhere, and Miami is apparently somewhere he would be interested in going. That feels tricky, but that may just be an instance where you're looking to get out of the division that has in it Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Texas A&M, where you're fifth in the division, or maybe even sixth in the division when it comes to resources. So I understand why some people may look at it and go, why would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss? A better question is, why would you stay? If you have an opportunity to go to a place where they've won national championships before and you're in a conference where it's much more feasible for you to win at the highest level if you can get the resources you need to win at the highest level. Keep an eye on that. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Thursday show is brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. We'll knock out a quick break. RC will join us via phone when we come back in our Fantasy Blitz in about 15 minutes. You got fantasy football questions, get them in now. Email me, tweet me, text me. Lots of ways to get your questions in for the Fantasy Blitz. That's in about 15 minutes here on AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about the Baton Rouge General Hospital, brgeneral.org, where the Healthy Men Project is just about ready to get kickstarted. brgeneral.org. brgeneral.org is where you can go learn more. brgeneral.org/healthymen is actually where you can learn more about the Healthy Men Project. Look, so many of us guys, we ignore the warning signs. We don't go for annual physicals. We don't go for routine checkups. We ignore warning signs that our body's telling us. The Healthy Men Project is designed to get us to get back on the straight and narrow, to pay attention to all of the things going on with our health. It's free. The project begins in January. There will be a grand prize winner, by the way. Tons of great grand prizes. So it's health tips, local perks, share the progress you're making. If you want to get healthy in 2022, this is the way to do it with the Healthy Men Project from the Baton Rouge General Hospital. Learn more at brgeneral.org.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
By land, by sea, by air, in person, or on the phone. It is always a pleasure to welcome aboard Ryan Clark, who joins us now. RC, what's good, man?
Ain't nothing, man. Driving back from New Orleans, bro. Just, chilling in the tundra. Not bothering nobody.
Muso said you were singing when he picked up the phone. What were you singing?
I was singing, hello.
Oh.
Is it me you're looking for? Yeah, I hear you, RC. Voice of an angel.
Was that Adele?
No, man. That's Lionel Richie.
Oh. Do you know Adele? I thought that was Hello by Adele.
Yeah, Adele has that song too. Do you know? So this is a very, I guess, not ironic because this thing was done purposely.
Okay.
So in the song where he says, hello, is it me you're looking for? The lady that's portrayed in the video is blind.
Oh.
And I get the irony there, right? He's
that
saying, hello, is it me you're looking for?
And she's
yet
blind.
She can't look for nobody.
Yeah. Maybe
Maybe
searching for?
Interesting.
Searching
I just
for?
always thought it was no. I think they meant for her to be blind. I think that was part of the whole thing. And the song wasn't necessarily about someone who could see, right? It was certainly about loving someone or wanting to find someone and searching for that in life. But I just thought it was cool or not cool or whatever they want to call it, that the lady was actually blind and they kept saying, is it me you're looking for? Because necessarily didn't say anything about seeing. But I just, an interesting tidbits of stupid knowledge that I have. That's an interesting tidbit of stupid knowledge that I am in possession of that I would like to share with you all. Also, there's a show on TV, ironically, that's called See. It's on Apple Plus. That is a very good show with Jason Momoa, where no one can actually see. So that's also a thing as well.
That is a thing.
I want to share this with you.
Do you ever wonder what is not taking up space in your brain because that is?
Actually, I don't.
Okay.
Because
I do sometimes.
Because I was just able to share that with you, which means whether or not I found it valuable or you found it valuable, not something to them. Now, the value of that is up to that person. But I have now shared knowledge with the world of AFR. And anytime that you can do that and impart that type of knowledge onto someone, I think it's important.
Fact.
Like the knowledge I was able to share that if you're going to watch the TV series Spartacus, you should not do it around people you don't know. That is also something I learned yesterday.
So you also talked about the person that you're looking for. We're all wondering who it is for whom Scott Woodward is looking right now. How about that transition into coaching search convo?
This is why you do TV/radio/podcasting.
If you had $12 million to spend per year, $100 million, let's say over 8, what coach would you hire?
I hear there's this guy that knows a ton about football named Ryan Clark.
Yep.
He has LSU ties. Very smart individual. Not necessarily well liked by the fan base. But I'm sure for $12 million a year, he will do whatever he needs to in order to be liked by them. He's ready to recruit. I feel that he will be very popular amongst middle-aged women who are mothers. And so I think that that's a guy they should really do their due diligence on to see if he's willing to take the job. I mean, when you look at the coaches, Mel Tucker gets an extension at Michigan State. Obviously, Michigan State has realized that he was on everyone's radar. And, to pass up an LSU for $12 million a year would be hard if you didn't do something. So I guess he's out of the question. The rumors have linked Lincoln Riley to something like that. I think people who are in the know that Scott hasn't necessarily interviewed or offered people. So I guess that's a cool thing too. Rumors are rumors though.
Yeah.
And also too, where there's smoke, there's usually at least somebody rubbing two twigs together.
Yeah.
And so, I think if you can get a guy like Lincoln Riley, I think you get him. I think if you want him, you're going to have to pay big for him. This is a dude who's highly successful. What helps in this is, here's my thought. If you're Lincoln Riley, would you rather be in the SEC at LSU or be in the SEC at Oklahoma?
Right.
Right? Now you have to think, does being in the SEC allow Oklahoma to recruit more SEC-like talent? Or does Oklahoma still just recruit what the hell Oklahoma does recruit? And is that enough to compete in the SEC, where you look at maybe if I'm at LSU, I get to have all of Louisiana as long as I'm winning. And I'll coach and I'll develop in a way that LSU hasn't had in years, and you're more competitive year in and year out. So I don't think that he's a bad guy to go after. I don't think if you decide to go after a Napier or an Aranda, who I believe would both be excellent coaches here as well, that you got to go $12 million to do it a year, that you got to go $96 million a year to do it. So I guess if these are the numbers you're going to talk, you have to go established, highly successful, huge name.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you hear the name, you got to be like, yeah, I paid for that. Right? Like if you hear, right, like if somebody says Go Yard and then you hear the price, you're usually comfortable with it.
Mm.
If you hear, Air Maid, you're like, oh, that makes sense. Not because you think that the jump's worth that much, just because the name, you're used to hearing that name associated with high prices. You're used to hearing that name associated with success or profit or gain or wealth or status. And so I think for that type of money, the supporters of LSU are going to need to hear a name that makes them feel like that type of money is worth it.
RC, what do you I have two more questions. One, and Ryan Clark's joining us. Make sure you're subscribed up to the Face First podcast, DB Precision on all the social media channels. What do you think is more important? Is it hiring an offensive coach that has a history of recruiting and developing quarterbacks, or is it a defensive-minded coach who can hire an offensive coordinator and say, hey, go do your own thing?
You know, so I think both can work. You know what I mean? I do also think that the mind in which the head coach starts with doesn't necessarily always factor into how good of a head coach he is, right? Because if you go get an offensive minded head coach who doesn't preach toughness, who doesn't preach a certain effort, who doesn't put a certain value on defense, it still doesn't necessarily. It matters who his defensive coordinator is, but it has to be the imprint of the head coach on the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same as with defense. Like if you go get an offensive coordinator who you feel like is really good and can develop, it still has to all tie in into that defensive coach being able to delegate, right? Being able to understand, being able to get the type of offensive coordinator that he can say, you know what, Joe Brady, go be you and go make this work. And so I don't think it matters where their expertise is. It matters in how they delegate, how they develop, right, and how they disseminate information. Those are 3 Ds. I didn't even do that on purpose, right? And so what I mean by that is like my overall point to everyone on the team has to be great. Like obviously Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban's expertise is in defense. It's in the secondary, right? And they usually have very good secondaries, very good defenses, well, whatever. But his genius has come in delegation. His genius has come in creating culture, right? Creating culture is the head coach's job, right? The offense coordinator has to call the play, but I got to create a culture where we know what we're going to be, right? Where we know that the one thing we aren't going to do, like we aren't going to be a stupid football team, right? When you think of Nick Saban's teams, you think of smart football teams. So we're going to be a smart football team. And that's what everything else in what we do is going to be. That's what the rest of our DNA is going to be. And then you build a program. And so I think it's about what our program builders foundation is. You know, I think when you look at a guy like Dave Aranda, listen, one, with a head that big, you can only be smart, bro. That's it.
What happened to me?
You know what I mean? You're super smart too, but your head is also not that large.
Really?
You know, it's just,
okay.
You just don't have a ton of hair on it, which makes you feel that way.
I don't know, man.
You know?
Maybe it's just because my body is bigger than Dave, so my head looks proportional, but I do have a big head.
That could also be a thing.
Yeah.
That could also be a thing. But when you think of Dave Aranda, right, I think like the huge thing always was like dude's personality is not like very big.
Right.
From a recruitment standpoint. You know, like I can be honest, like when I was around him, like he's actually kind of dull. You know? But you hire other coaches that can recruit. But when you watch Baylor, who we don't think necessarily has the level of talent that some of these schools they're competing with, you know, obviously they lose to TCU, which takes them out of probably running for the college football playoff, but they go beat Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma's a school that historically we feel recruits better than Baylor, right? But that's a smart football team. You know why it's a smart football team? Because their head coach puts an emphasis on being a smart football team.
Yeah.
And they work at that. And so I just think that we have to get out of the mindset of, like we want to develop quarterbacks, so let's go find a dude that develops quarterbacks. Yeah, that dude develops quarterbacks, but he don't really win national championships.
Yeah.
You know, and we won a national championship with a quarterback that we didn't even really get to develop. He only played here 2 years. He was just freaking phenomenal.
Oh, that was fun. I had a good time watching that team. And I actually did just a little while ago. I tweeted you. I went back and found the podcast that you allowed me to participate on after you let Clinton Portis spout his propaganda about 01 Miami. Because that debate has popped up because ESPN did a big feature on 2001 Miami. RC, I'm ready for the feature on 2019 LSU. Just let them know I'm ready whenever they are, all right?
Oh, it's going to be amazing, bro. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be a huge part of that. I'll make sure.
He's Ryan Clark on Twitter at RealRClark25. Follow up make sure you subscribe to the Face First podcast as well, and check out all the DB Precision content. RC, you're the best, man. Safe drive. We appreciate you.
My man, have a good one, brother.
All right, be well. That is Ryan Clark. We appreciate him for giving us his time every week here on AFR. We'll knock out a quick break and wrap up hour number 1. Our Fantasy Blitz is next. If you have fantasy football questions, get them in now. Email me, tweet me, text me, 396-4400, 225-396-4400. Fantasy Blitz, your questions next on AFR.
AFR.
Thursday is a great way to get the weekend started off early by getting by Pluckers. Nicholson just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Uber Eats, DoorDash. Search Pluckers, bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Pluckers delivered. But Thursday, you got Thursday night football. Patriots at Falcons, 28-3. You've also got LSU basketball tonight at 7 p.m. ULM at LSU at the Maravich Center. How about this? Get by Pluckers. All you can eat boneless buffalo bites. Breaded, fried, tossed in your favorite wing sauce. All you can eat. One low price, as many as you can eat tonight and every Thursday. So, get there early. You've got LSU and McNeese in basketball tonight. I think it's at ULM. LSU McNeese in basketball tonight at 7 o'clock. You get the NFL game at 7:20. Get there early. Stay there late. Eat wings. Drink beer. Watch sports on TV. It's Pluckers, where dine and carry out delivery. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
Thanks, you're ready. Yardbirds up. Veggies in the window.
Barbecue guys, born to grill.
Pops, how many steaks you want?
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded. Because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rufino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. After further review. This is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.com.
Who the hell are you?
whotostart.com. The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the pittance?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz. Powered by whotostart.com. On 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. And 104.5ESPN.com.
All right, let's do it. Wrapping up hour number 1, our Fantasy Blitz. Darin, Tietgen, whotostart.com joins us now to answer your personal fantasy football questions. Darin, how are you, man?
I am doing good. Thanks for asking.
Always our pleasure, man. Thank you for the time. All right, let's delve into tonight's game. Patriots, Falcons. Big question, obviously, with Cordero Patterson. What are we keeping an eye on?
Yeah, he's a game-time decision, and even if he was a full go, he would be an iffy start against a pretty stout Patriots run defense. Bill Belichick always seems to find a way to take out the opposing team's most valuable weapon, and that in this case would probably be Patterson. So even if he plays, he's going to be on a snap count, and I have him sitting in one of my leagues, so not expecting much out of him. As for everybody else, this is probably going to be the Mac Jones and Damian Harris show for the Patriots. I'm not expecting much out of the Falcons at all. Look for Jacoby Myers and even Hunter Henry, the tight end, to have pretty good games for the Patriots.
Sleepers for this week.
Sure. We have, I like to call a no-duh upgrade in A.J. Dillon with Aaron Jones out. Dillon's got a fantastic matchup. He's going to get the bulk of the carries there for the Packers. So if the rest of your league was sleeping this past couple of days and Dillon's still available, grab him immediately because he's a definite RB1 for fantasy purposes. And then we also like Michael Gallup. He's had a week or so to get back from injury. Good matchup against the Chiefs with Cooper and Lamb there commanding a lot of the attention of the defensive backs. Gallup will get the third man in line for the Chiefs. So Gallup could have a nice game for the Cowboys.
All right, let's get to your questions. Started on the text line with Johnny, PPR, flex. He's got Deontay Foreman or David Montgomery. Who to start?
I like Montgomery. I was actually going to highlight Foreman as a sleeper, but decided against it. But he is a sleeper of ours. He looks just fresher than AP in terms of running the ball. He did out-carry him in the last game. So the matchup is fantastic. It's actually a revenge game if there is such a thing for Foreman. So I like him slightly over Montgomery.
Quarterback, Newton, Carr, or Daniel Jones. Who to start?
I think you're playing Carr there. Even with, limited receivers in terms of, star power, Carr seems to get it done. Great matchup for him and for his tight end Waller this week. I would go with Carr there.
Lance Traylor, who to start? He's got a PPR flex spot as well. He's got Ramondre Stevenson, Cordero Patterson, or Gronk. Or Patterson and Gronk? You said Patterson's game time decision. What about Gronk?
Yeah, Gronk is probably good to go. In a flex spot, we usually like to see the guys that are touching the ball the most. Stevenson with Harris back may see the ball a lot less, but he's always a threat to score touchdowns. I think it's a toss-up between Gronk and Stevenson. Obviously, you have to decide tonight with Stevenson playing. So I think Stevenson's probably your safest play.
John Richardson said, who's a running back, Darin, no one's talking about that could be prime for a big week?
Yeah, that's AJ. I mean, people are talking about him, but AJ Dillon is definitely prime for a big week with Aaron Jones out. Other guys that might be able to be useful, like I said earlier, Deontay Foreman is a guy that we like. Myles Gaskin's been on and off waiver wire lists for at least in my leagues. Has a fantastic matchup against the Jets, who are allowing the most fantasy points to running backs. So get Gaskin in your lineup for sure.
Melvin, got about a minute left. Melvin Walker said standard league. He's got Scary Terry or Brandon Cooks. Who to start?
Yeah, in standard leagues, I tend to favor the guy that's most inclined to score touchdowns, and in this case, it's probably McLaurin. Cooks is probably better in a PPR format, but since it's standard, I would go with McLaurin there.
Let's see if we can get in two more here. Dustin Gotro has a tight end. He's got Jasecki or Gronk. Who to start?
I'd go with Gesicki, just safer. The targets are usually there. He had an off week last week, but expect him to bounce back this week.
And then Trent asked about Kyler Murray and D-Hop. Are they going to be back this week?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Arizona's bye week is next week. It would probably behoove the Cardinals to rest them this week and just give them 2 extra weeks of rest. I'm sitting them in both of my leagues, so I think they're probably going to be questionable at best.
Darin, Tietgen, hoot2start.com. Remember, $9.99 rest of the season special. Get every question answered for the rest of the year for just $9.99. Who2start.com. Who, the numeral 2start.com. You're the best, Darin. We appreciate some time as always, man.
Thanks a lot.
Be well. It is after further review. We'll kick off hour number 2. How close were the Saints to landing Odell?
AFR.
Michelli weighing in measurement, Michelli.com. Michelli.com. I love telling you about Michelli because that's a great Louisiana business that's been locally owned and operated since 1947. Think about how many businesses have come and gone since 1947. How many businesses have been gobbled up by bigger businesses, not Michelli. What they've done is they've remained true to their roots, and they've just continued to expand. Now, 29 offices in 11 different states, 6 calibration labs in Louisiana alone. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, or rents the products that you use to weigh and measure. You can check out all the different industries that they service at the website. If you're not sure if your company could be a fit, check it out. Choose the partner that you can trust. Michelli Weighing and Measurement, from aerospace and agriculture, laboratory, transportation, manufacturing, the chemical and petrochemical industries, food and beverage, energy, waste and recycling. It's all there at Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. The place is going to be convenient for you during that inconvenient time, and it's even more convenient now. Now you have 8 convenient locations, with the Bruley location just opening up. So go check them out online, patientplusuc.com, because remember, they are your place for your sniffles, for your colds, for your stitches, for your COVID test. They have all that available over at Patient Plus. For more information, visit them at patientplusuc.com. Get in and get better.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Right now, at Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get a new Highlander with 1.9% financing for 72 months, or we have several new Tundras in stock with the 5.7 V8 engine. So come see us today for your new Toyota. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Baton Rouge this hour.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Kevin Richard, week number 11 of the National Football League. Starting tonight, New England Patriots visiting the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 4-5, dead last in the NFC South. New England, meanwhile, 6-4, thanks to a 4-game winning streak that has some around the league talking a Super Bowl appearance. ESPN's Damian Woody, I guess, this morning on Bart and Hahn on ESPN Radio.
They could get there. And I know, there's a lot of people that don't want to hear that, but they can get there. Because the Patriots are doing a lot of the things needed to get there well. They're second in scoring defense. They're really good in red zone defense. They're good in third down defense. They're good at taking away the football on defense.
Patriots and the Falcons, New England, a 6.5-point road favorite according to Caesars Sportsbook. Now, from the no way this cannot be serious file, according to NASA, yes, the space agency, there is going to be a lunar eclipse tonight after the football game. That lunar eclipse is expected to last for 3 hours and 28 minutes. 3 hours 28 after the Patriots and Falcons play.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
I appreciate it, bud. Have a good one.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. We'll head up to Monroe in 15 minutes. Emily Hernandez covers ULM for the Monroe News Star. Take a peek at LSU's opponent this weekend, as we do every Thursday. Mike Triplett next hour. We will ask Mike Triplett about the Saints injury report. The Saints injury report on Thursday, decidedly worse than a day ago. This is just very not good. The same players that did not practice yesterday also did not practice today. Ty Montgomery did not practice second day in a row. Taysom Hill did not practice second day in a row, now with a foot injury. Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk, neither has practiced yet this week. We mentioned Malcolm Roach and Tano Passanio, a couple of defensive linemen as part of that rotation. Neither has practiced this week. The decidedly worse part, I mean, that was all the same yesterday. The decidedly worse is Alvin Kamara, who was back on the practice field on Wednesday and did not practice on Thursday. So gave it a go on Wednesday, did not even attempt to practice on Thursday. And I'm sure you know that if players don't practice on Friday, the chance, the likelihood of them playing on Sunday is just almost nil. We went through this Wednesday with the first injury report. My feeling hasn't changed at all. It's difficult enough when you lost Andrus Peat and you plugged in James Hurst. Well, then when you lost Teron Armstead, Hurst moved to tackle and Throckmorton went to guard. So the entire left side of your line is backups. And now if you're going to miss Ramczyk as well, which it looks like right now is a really good probability. 3 out of your 5 offensive linemen, starting offensive linemen out, your best running back out, your change of pace quarterback, and one of your only real viable offensive weapons in Taysom Hill not practicing. Ty Montgomery, again, with the hand injury, not out there. This is a skeleton squad right now. Whenever we talked in this offseason about the Saints, when we looked at the cap hell and all the cap casualties. And you all know the list from Jack Rabbit and Josh Hill and Latavius Murray and Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders. You all know the list. The Saints starting 22 was still very good. We talked like a phenomenal offensive line, maybe the best offensive line in the NFL. You still had Alvin Kamara. You had Michael Thomas, provided he was going to come back. You Cam Jordan, Marcus Davenport, and David Onyemata, and Demario Davis, and Quan Alexander. Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Williams. The Saints' first 22 is phenomenal. The Saints' first 22 could go toe-to-toe with anybody in the NFL. The problem was when you lost all those players, your depth was gutted. And you're seeing that now. They don't have the personnel from 23 to 53 to supplement these injuries. And you're just not any good after them, which is why it's remarkable that the Saints the last 2 weeks, despite their personnel shortcomings, have been on the doorstep of winning football games against Atlanta at home and last week against Tennessee, which is the best record in the AFC. The fact that you went on the road without all the guys that you were missing and had a chance to maybe should have won that game. You outgained Tennessee. You played better than they did. You missed 2 PATs, boneheaded penalty, and a turnover on a kickoff. Otherwise, you would have won it. But, man, another week on the road, I don't know what the Saints do here with this injury report. I tell you what would have been super helpful is if you had a guy like Odell Beckham. And that didn't happen. Sean Payton was a guest Thursday on the Dan Patrick Show. And Dan Patrick kind of pried with Sean Payton about Odell and how close they were actually to landing Odell in New Orleans.
Look, we had good conversations. He's from here. I thought only he could answer that, but I thought I felt real positive. You're in the middle of game week, so you're preparing for another game. And look, if he's truly interested in coming, here's our pitch. Here's what we think. And then at that point, he can sort through that. And we had several conversations. I would say close. The question would be, all along, if L.A. had an opportunity, I knew that's where he was going to go. And I don't think Los Angeles really was an option until maybe middle of the process. Yeah, I would say fairly close, but I think only he would be able to answer that.
Dan Patrick did pry a little deeper and kind of talked about how it compared to recruiting in college or and just how those conversations went. And Sean Payton was quick to clarify when he mentioned Los Angeles, he wasn't necessarily talking about the Los Angeles Rams. He meant the city of Los Angeles. Odell has a home in Los Angeles. He thought about from a marketing perspective, the opportunities being in L.A. as opposed to New Orleans. And when I was listening to Sean Payton go through that, and it was about a 2-minute exchange between Dan Patrick and Sean Payton about Odell. And hearing Sean Payton talk about Odell, I don't want to say spurning his hometown, but in a way that's what it was. He had an opportunity to come home to his hometown and play for the hometown team. And, people talk about a hometown discount. This was in a literal sense a hometown opportunity for Odell to come back. But instead, he picked the Rams. And Sean Payton talked about that, about why L.A. was, again, not the Los Angeles Rams, but the city of Los Angeles. The opportunity to play in Los Angeles was so meaningful. And what it kind of reminded me again was how many times the Saints have kicked the tires on high-profile free agents and come up empty. It wasn't that long ago they were going through this process with Ndamukong Suh, and Suh picked Tampa. They were going through this process with, if you remember, Malcolm Butler and Richard Sherman and Josh Norman, as the Saints have sort of gone through this revolving door trying to recruit cornerbacks. Last offseason, who was the big defensive fish in the sea that we were all talking about over and over again? It was Jadeveon Clowney. Over and over again, we've talked about New Orleans being, and I guess I didn't really think about it much until today, but the Saints have constantly found themselves in the mix for high-profile free agents because they've had such a winning culture for so long that they're in the conversation. But they really don't close with these big-name free agents. I mean, DeMario Davis, Drew Brees on that list, I guess, but it's 2 and 15 and 16 years. How many others really qualify in that? And DeMario Davis was never an all-pro before he came to New Orleans and what he's been able to do in this defense. But I guess it's just a reminder, man, you're still in a small TV market despite your success. And, for the players that want to go play in Tampa, or play with Tom Brady, or playing Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, it's a reminder that, or Kansas City with the Chiefs, it's a reminder that the Saints, while they've won a lot of games, the 2009 championship was a long time ago. I'll never dismiss it or diminish it in any way. It was magnificent, and it's something we'll always hold dear to. But I think we all have maybe this sort of inherent bias about it, being a championship team. Odell was a junior in high school when the Saints won that championship. 2009 was his junior season at Newman. It's a long time ago. The players in the league right now, many of them probably don't remember that championship, vividly anyway. So it's kind of a reminder, man. It's tough sledding to try to get high-profile free agents to New Orleans. You've got to create not only just a winning culture, but Super Bowl winning culture, like Kansas City has done, like Tampa did a year ago. Saints have to get back there. They couldn't even land the guy who's from New Orleans when you desperately needed a guy who would have had the option to come and be the no-doubt number one guy pushing double-digit targets every game his way. How do they get over that hump? Got to find a way. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We'll go up to Monroe next. Emily Hernandez, Monroe News Star, will join us. Talk a little bit about ULM. Really just interested. This is it should be a blowout game, but I am a little interested in how Terry Bowden and Rich Rod have done their year one up in Monroe. So we'll do that when we come back. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on AFR.
AFR.
And I love telling you about River City's 1 Hour Air. I love reading great reviews from customers just like you who've called River City's 1 Hour Air and have managed to have the same great experience that I've had with River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Here's a review that came in. It said, Brendan did an excellent job. Brendan is professional and courteous. He strives for customer satisfaction. He makes sure the job is complete before leaving. Nice touch to invite the customer to inspect the work before presenting the bill. I would recommend him to anyone, homeowners or businesses. River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, 752-0001. Remember, it's that time of year as well. As the weather's getting cooler, pre-season heater safety check. Before you fire on that home central heater, make sure you have it cleaned and tuned up from River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, LSU back on the field at Tiger Stadium on Saturday. They'll host ULM at 8 p.m., so a late kickoff. Of course, you'll hear that game on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Emily Hernandez covers ULM for the Monroe News Star. She's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Emily, thanks for a couple of minutes. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Did I see on your Twitter that you just moved here November the 1st?
I did. Yep.
Wow. Okay, so early impressions of North Louisiana.
So North Louisiana is great. It's cold.
Yeah.
A lot colder than Florida, but, I'm getting used to it.
That is really – so you went to UCF, so you're from Orlando. I mean, North Louisiana is – I guess it's a little chilly, but it's not like it's the Midwest. Have you ever ventured outside of – is this your first time living outside of Florida?
Living outside of Florida, yes.
Okay. So from Florida to Fun Row. So what are you loving the most? What's the biggest cultural difference so far?
I'd say people take football very seriously. Very seriously.
I thought UCF won the national championship in 2017. They didn't take that seriously?
Oh, no, they did, and we did. Don't get it twisted. But high school football here, it's a big deal.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
That is very true. If you're spending your Friday nights covering West Monroe, yes, that is a factual thing. But you're spending your Saturdays covering ULM. So let's talk a little bit about the Warhawks. Observations from Terry Bowden. That's a pretty interesting hire for ULM there in his first year. What have been your impressions there covering Terry Bowden early on?
I feel like Bowden has, really taken the reins of the team. He's brought in a new mindset, and that new mindset has led them to win for this season. Compared to last year, that's a big improvement. I feel like he's just trying to bring in that new culture, trying to get these guys to straighten up and take it seriously, and they have been.
He's got Rich Rodriguez as his OC. Does the ULM offense resemble the offense that many of us remember that Rich Rod ran back in his days at West Virginia?
I can't really compare as much to West Virginia.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie to you. I did just get into college football when I got into UCF. So,
got it.
Yeah, but I can tell you this. Their offense has been stepping it up. They're moving people around. They're trying to see what clicks, what doesn't click. And I feel like Rodriguez has definitely helped in that.
Let's talk a little bit about the personnel. Is ULM more of a passing or run-heavy team? Because that's what I do remember about Rich Rodriguez's offenses with Pat White and Steve Slate and all those guys. Is they would run forms of the option and and reads and sweeps, and they were just such a potent ground game. Are they more effective running or throwing?
Right now, I'd say they're more effective running, just because Rhett Rodriguez was out with a chest injury. Chandler
Rogers, quarterback?
Yes,
Yeah.
Chandler Rogers, yes. He's coming in, and he's, they're doing what they can on the passing game, but their run game has definitely improved since those two quarterbacks have been dealing with injuries and, trying to taking the rust off.
What are some of the offensive skill guys names that LSU fans might want to know before the game on Saturday?
Before the game on Saturday, keep an eye out for Malik Jackson and Andrew Henry.
And, give us a little thumbnail on those guys.
Yeah, so Malik Jackson actually just transferred from a slot receiver position to running back, and he is doing surprisingly very well. Before making that transition, he probably rushed for 100 yards, 15 rushing attempts. In the game against Arkansas State, 22 carries for 166 yards.
And who was the other player you mentioned?
Andrew Henry. So Henry was out with an injury before they moved Jackson over, and Henry was their main running back.
What about you mentioned that Malik Jackson moved positions. I'm always curious with really just this era of college football, transfer players, because the transfer portal has been such a big deal, and you sometimes see group of five programs be able to take players from the Power Five, and so you have guys who have major college experience. Are there any guys like that on ULM's roster, guys who have Power Five experience that have transferred in?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Not that I can think of.
Okay. What about defensively? How much of a challenge has it been so far this season for the Warhawks defensively?
Defensively, they've been shaken up a bit. I feel like there's just positions that haven't clicked yet. There's probably some moving around that has to be done. They'll go on a couple drives where they're doing great, and then there's a hole in the defense, and then there goes the offense just running through them. But I feel like slowly but surely they're finding their groove.
Special teams, it's kind of making our way through all the phases. How's the kicking game?
Well, I want to say they're pretty good. They haven't lost because of special teams. I will say this: they have not lost a game because of special teams. So they're probably is the most consistent out of all the phases.
Okay. Last thing, what's the general vibe around the team after? They're 4-6 right now. They've lost 3 in a row. After the win against Liberty and then South Alabama, it really looked like this team at 4 wins was going to reach bowl eligibility, and they've hit this skid, and now they've got to beat LSU and ULL to reach bowl eligibility, which I don't think anyone realistically thinks that's going to happen. So what is the general vibe or mood around the team right now, considering this 3-game losing streak?
Talking to the players, talking to the coaches, they've all kind of had this let's finish off on the right foot mentality. It's been a great season compared to years past. And so although a bowl might not be in their future, given the rest of the schedule, they're just trying to finish strong, trying to get rid of the losing streak. And if that means getting to a bowl, then great. If it doesn't, then that's trying to finish out the voting season strong.
She's Emily Hernandez, covers ULM for the Monroe News Star. You can follow her on Twitter at @MHernandezNews. I'm guessing you'll be in Tiger Stadium on Saturday?
I will not be in Tiger Stadium on Saturday.
All right. Well, that's too bad because, SEC venue. Have you gone to an SEC venue before?
Nope. Only American.
Well, maybe one day that opportunity will come around again. Emily Hernandez, thanks for a couple of minutes. Be well. All right, be well. It's after further review. Appreciate Emily for a couple of minutes here with us. Kind of getting a preview of ULM. So, I don't know. I'm trying to give you a reason to care about the LSU ULM game on Saturday, but let's be real. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, and it's ULM. LSU's a 4-touchdown favorite. Better question is, do you think people are going to be interested in the A&M game? What do you think? You think people will be interested in that, Muse?
I do. I do. I think people will be interested, depending on what news potentially breaks earlier in that week. But yeah, I do think people will be interested in that game. It's the last game of the Orgeron era, and I mean, hadn't ended great, but I'm sure there'll be a decent vibe in the stadium.
I think A&M is going to bring A&M will bring fans.
That's true too.
There's nothing more fun as a fan than winning on the road. Like when you're in this pocket of like 10,000 fans and there's 90,000 fans that aren't cheering, and your little pocket is like, there's nothing better than that. And I think A&M probably feels pretty confident in their opportunity to win the game against LSU a week from Saturday. So I do think that the stadium will be a bit more full just because A&M is going to travel. But man, this weekend, do they even put 60,000 butts in seats? I mean, that's going to be so tough. If it were a beautiful day with like an 11 a.m. kick, I think you'd have a shot. People get up and go out to the stadium. Maybe a late arriving crowd, but I think you'd have a shot. Maybe even a 6 o'clock. If it was early enough, you had like a 5 or 6 o'clock kick. I mean, an 8 o'clock kick against Monroe for a 4-6 football team. This is where the true diehards will be revealed. The true diehards will be revealed if you were in the stadium on Saturday for LSU and ULM. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Love telling you about GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com, because every single day, our friends at GMFS Mortgage change lives. And we're talking about financially, but they change lives financially. They've done it for me. I helped Eric and I buy our first home together. When Drew came along and we wanted a little more space, we sold that home and bought our current home, and we financed through GMFS Mortgage. And earlier this year, because of the historically low interest rates you've heard me talk about so much, we refinanced that mortgage. We've been in the house less than 4 years. Been in the house less than, 5 years. So it was 2016. Yeah, 5 years. Less than 5 years. And we were already able to refinance our mortgage and save $400 a month on our mortgage payment. Shorten the life of our mortgage by 5 years. Would that change your life? It has for us. GMFSmortgage.com. Check them out. GMFSmortgage.com. GMFS Mortgage. Changing lives. All right, it's after further review. When I got a quick break, do want to talk some Saints as well. Mike Triplett, about an hour, about 45 minutes from right now. Trevor Siemian did meet with the media, talked a little bit about improving on the slow starts. We've got some Saints updated NFC South odds. We'll delve into all of that as well. Muso will have Tigers in the Pros. Still a lot to get to, and glad you're hanging on with us here. It's a Thursday edition of AFR.
AFR.
If you need dinner plans tonight, Ichiban, always a great option. Essen near Perkins, voted by you the best sushi and best hibachi in the Best of 225 awards. Few better ways to start off your weekend than a Thursday night out. So start the weekend off early. Get by Ichiban. Ice cold draft beer, floor-to-ceiling transparent wine cellar, specialty cocktails, sake served hot or cold, all-weather patio dining. Ichiban is a dining experience. And so, too, is Bo-Ru Ramen. Latest concept from our friends at Ichiban is Bo-Ru Ramen in Electric Depot on Government Street. Had some rain earlier today. The temps are dropping. It's already down to 59 degrees. We're heading to a low of 46. How about a nice hot bowl of authentic Japanese ramen? If you love spicy, try the Rouge. It's right there at Bo-Ru Ramen in Electric Depot on Government Street. Authentic Japanese ramen. Fast, casual, affordable, and decadent. It's Bo-Ru Ramen.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations. Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
And our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Rolling along, glad to have you aboard with us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Mike Triplett next hour. We'll talk a little deeper dive with Mike Triplett. This was interesting. And Trevor Siemian did talk about slow starts for the Saints. I want to delve into that in just a quick second. But our buddy Chris Gordy from Sports Talk 790 in Houston tweeted this. I'm not exactly sure where he got this, but it was a conversation that David Pollack and Reese Davis were having, and he printed out and tweeted this back and forth with David Pollack and Reese Davis. And Reese Davis made the case for Bill O'Brien to be the coach. Pollack was talking about Dave Aranda, and Reese Davis said, quote, "I think Bill O'Brien is going to be the next coach at LSU," Davis said. Quote, "Oh my God, okay," Pollack said. It's interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, Reese isn't saying, I think Bill O'Brien would be a good coach. I think Bill O'Brien has been a head coach and will be ready again, yada, yada, yada. He said, quote, "I think Bill O'Brien is going to be the next coach at LSU." Not could be. I mean, there are no qualifiers. I mean, that is a pretty bold prediction there from Reese Davis about Bill O'Brien. I only bring this up because of who Reese Davis is, and I think it's worth noting Bill O'Brien is the Alabama offensive coordinator. Reese Davis went to Alabama. So it's fair to say that Reese Davis is connected at Alabama and may have had certain conversations that would lead you to believe that. Now, the other reason I'll bring this up is because at 9:11 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, October the 9th, LSU was in the process of getting their behinds whipped by the University of Kentucky. And I tweeted, "I'll start James Franklin, Luke Fickell, Lane Kiffin, Bill O'Brien." that was as the game was coming to an end, and everybody was certainly talking about firing at Orgeron, and basically said, all right, let's start talking about names. And those are the first 4 names I was told. And I will, listen, at this point in the game, I think we all understand that there's a lot of guessing and everyone's sort of vetting names and possibilities and whatever. But it's interesting because the first 2 names I heard back in September were Lane Kiffin and Bill O'Brien. And I want to be very clear about this again. I want to be so abundantly clear so nothing is misunderstood with what I'm saying. Just because someone's name is mentioned does not mean there's mutual interest, does not mean an offer has been given, does not mean that person is going to be hired. You have to start with a list. You have to start with a list of potential candidates that you'd like to vet. And when LSU lost to UCLA, I've told you this already now. When LSU lost to UCLA the next week, I was told that by boosters, firsthand, that were being contacted for the buyout. So it was going to be done at that point, and the first 2 names I heard were Lane Kiffin and Bill O'Brien. A short time later, I think it was after the Auburn loss, I was told James Franklin, Luke Fickell. That's when it was very clearly ramping up, and this was going to happen. Now, we know James Franklin, I've told you the contact there didn't go well. I think Luke Fickell not wanting to come to the SEC if either stays at Cincinnati or probably maybe takes the USC job. We'll see what happens there. Kiffin we've talked about, as there has been some reported interest from Miami's side at potentially luring Lane Kiffin if they part ways with Manny Diaz. But I've told you here that I am very confident that if LSU offers Lane Kiffin the job, he would walk to Baton Rouge. I mean, he would crawl to Baton Rouge if need be to get here. He would absolutely take the job. But what's interesting is that from September, when I first was told Bill O'Brien's name, I've literally not heard his name mentioned again by anyone at all until I saw that from Reese Davis. And it's so interesting as we all talk about an offer potentially for Lincoln Riley, and could Dave Aranda be getting in the mix, and what about Billy Napier, and does Kiffin have a role in all this? There goes Reese Davis, not hedging, not in any way being ambiguous about his comment, just saying point blank, and quote, I think Bill O'Brien is going to be the next coach at LSU. That's a quote from Reese Davis, the host of College Game Day, of ESPN's College Game Day, an Alabama alum, a guy who's very connected in coaching circles and to the game of college football. So just file that away. For my opinion, is I think Bill O'Brien was terrible in the NFL with the Houston Texans as a personnel manager. I think as a coach, he could do really well. I think some guys are just more suited for the college game, like Nick Saban was. I'm not saying Bill O'Brien is Nick Saban, but he's also gone to Nick Saban's school for wayward coaches, and some have come through that for the better, i.e. Lane Kiffin. So I wouldn't necessarily hate it. Could LSU do potentially much better? Sure. Could they do worse? Absolutely. Just file it away. Again, not any type of bold prediction or anything. Just file it away. It's Reese Davis's opinion on the matter, and it is a name that I heard early in this process. But again, to clarify, I have not heard again since very early in the process. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll talk about some NFC South odds here in just a quick second. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows. Beautiful entry doors. Hardy plank or vinyl siding. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, and glass breakage. What that means is you buy windows once, you're done forever, and you never pay $1 until you're thrilled with the work they do. How about that for a guarantee? That's Relief Windows. 288-8138, 288-8138, or ReliefWindows.com. Trevor Siemian met with the media on Wednesday, and the Saints have played in 2 games now with Siemian as their starting quarterback. Of course, they fell behind the Falcons 24-6, rallied only to then give up the game-winning score, and then they fell behind the Titans 20-6 in the first half, only to rally and come up a 2-point conversion short of tying that game and potentially sending it to overtime. What Trevor Siemian said when he met with the media is, I think we always look at why aren't you winning? And for me, it's we've got to play better early. I think it's when everybody recognizes we've got to have some urgency We probably got to throw it a little more. You don't really want to become one-dimensional if you don't have to. But we can play with anybody. We've just got to put it together early in football games, I think. And Trevor Siemian lobbying to put the ball in the air earlier in games instead of becoming one-dimensional and running the football and then having to throw late when you're playing catch-up. This week in particular, I mean, getting off to a good start generally is a good idea in any type of football game. I'd say so this week in particular because the Eagles are 0-4 at home. They're 4-6 on the season, but they're 0-4 at home. All 4 wins have been on the road. The halftime scores of their home games, they were down 7-3 to the 49ers, who only scored 3 points in their loss to the Niners in the first half. They were down 21-13 to Kansas City at half. They were down 21-7 to Tampa at half, and actually led the Chargers 10-7 at half, but lost 27-24. There is a pretty consistent theme with these games that Philly has lost at home. They have gotten off to a slow offensive start. I think that is incumbent upon the Saints' defense to make sure that trend continues. You turn around what happened a year ago where Jalen Hurts kind of got that offense going and ran. You know, both Sanders and Hurts went for over 100 yards rushing in that game a year ago. But the Saints have got to make sure Philly's offense doesn't get rolling in the first half and that they can play with a lead. The dynamic of a game changes entirely. The play calling, the urgency, clock management, all of it changes whether you're playing with a lead or you're playing from behind. And it kind of seems obvious, but that's why you can maybe force teams into mistakes in the second half or doing things they're not comfortable doing if they're playing from behind because the clock is no longer their friend. I would love to see the Saints get off to a good start. Maybe, as Trevor Siemian said, that's playing with a lead. Maybe that's getting off to a good start, playing with a lead in the second half instead of playing from behind. We'll see if they can do it. The Saints are behind in the division, but only by a game. Tampa at 6-3, of course, has lost 2 straight, and the Saints are the big loser with that. I mean, after beating Tampa in that emotional win at home, the Saints now have lost 2 straight at home to the Falcons, and this past week, on the road in Tennessee, a game that they had won. But the Bucs have lost in consecutive weeks now, or lost consecutive games to Trevor Siemian and Taylor Heineke. So, man, that's a Tampa team right now at 6-3, where the Saints had an opportunity to leapfrog them in the division had they been able to take care of their business, but didn't. Even still, despite the fact that the Saints are 1 game behind Tampa, and the Saints have the 24th toughest remaining schedule. So actually, according to ESPN's FPI, the Saints have a manageable schedule the rest of the way. Only the 24th toughest schedule. So a manageable stretch. The downside of this for the Saints is you had your opportunity to overtake Tampa, and you missed on that opportunity. So they're going to have to go find a way to get ones that they weren't planning on getting, and they do control their destiny because they play Tampa again. But Tampa's a banged-up team, man. Of course, their secondary has been banged up, but Vita Vea may miss Monday night's game against the Giants. Gronk has only played in 5 snaps since week 3. Antonio Brown has missed the last 3 games. Scotty Miller's on injured reserve. Chris Godwin is a game-time decision. They're a banged-up football team right now that's scuffling. There is an open-door opportunity for New Orleans to walk right through it and overtake Tampa. But they're going to have to start faster than they have the past couple of weeks with Trevor Siemian at quarterback. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out our final break of hour number 2. When we come back, Muso will have Tigers in the pros. Mike Triplett will talk Saints here in about 30 minutes from right now. Glad you're hanging out on AFR.
AFR.
Christmas is in the air, and Christmas trees are at Clegg's Nursery. Get on by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Earlier this week at Clegg's, they unloaded the Christmas trees, and they are now on the lot. If you are ready for Christmas time and the Christmas holidays, and you're ready to go score your Christmas tree, Clegg's is ready for you. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. The holidays are upon us. It is Christmas time. They have Christmas trees, and my goodness, do they have Christmas decor as well. You can check out the Clegg social media pages to see all of the updates for what they have. If it's trees, if it's wreaths, if it's lights, they've got it for you at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. The Christmas season is upon us. Get started celebrating at Clegg's Nursery.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside, off the bench, Hunt and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We're wrapping up hour number 2. Glad you're with us here. I was checking the text line during the break. Chris Ploche sent a text and said, is there any chance the Saints could pry a free agent receiver like John Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, Golden Tate off the couch for the remainder of the season? I guess my thought there is if that was going to happen, it feels like it would have happened already. Because this isn't a new problem for the Saints. When they lost Emmanuel Sanders due to a cap casualty, and when you turned around and knew that Michael Thomas was going to have surgery that was going to keep him out for half the season, not knowing at the time that he was going to be out the whole season, it would have made so much sense then to pursue an option like that. And I really feel like those players might only come out of retirement for a chance at a championship, because the Saints can't pay. The salary cap issue is legitimate to where, I mean, you could put money in future years, whatever, but I mean, you're going to essentially, you'd be coming back for the veteran minimum. And if you were a guy like that who was willing to do that, it would be for a team where you were legitimately competing for a chance to win a world championship. And this Saints team isn't going to be that. I mean, I would love to think that they would have the possibility with this defense and with some dynamic guys on offense like Alvin Kamara, really good line. It is a playoff team. And maybe even a team that can get to the playoffs and win a playoff game. I don't know that they could win the division or go on a playoff run and make it to a Super Bowl, but are they a team that could get to the playoffs? Get to the playoffs and win a game? At their best, I think so. But I don't know that that's going to be enough of a lure to pull one of those guys out of retirement, as a possibility for this team. So it's a good question. Understand it. I don't think so. The Saints have had to weigh this for months now, trying to figure out a way to supplement that receiver group, and I just think they are what they are. All right, after further review, Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
If you're a fan of 28-3 jokes, then Thursday Night Football is your kind of place to be, especially on social media, because I'm sure there will be plenty of 28-3 jokes when the Patriots visit the Atlanta Falcons. New England winners of 4 straight games. So all see themselves not just one game out of first in the AFC East. The Falcons lost by 40 to the Cowboys last week. Jalen Mills in action for New England tonight. Top 10 in tackles on the Pats with 30. He also has 3 passes defensed. Might even see Devon Godshaw for New England and potentially even Tashawn Bauer. On the Atlanta side, you'll see Deion Jones for sure, who's second on the team in tackles with 87, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. Russell Gage figures in probably pretty heavily into the offensive game plan, with Cordell Patterson being a game-time decision. Not too many options in the receiving game outside. With no running game, you might see a lot of Russell Gage.
I bet he hurdles somebody.
I hope so. Maybe he'll make like a diving catch in the end zone as well, like he did against Auburn.
Yeah, he's more the guy that just jumps over everybody. I think that's what he's remembered for here, is just the guy that hurdles everybody. He just hurdled guys.
He did. I mean, he did.
That was his thing.
He did hurdle a lot of people. I remember the diving catch.
I remember it as well. It was a great catch.
It was.
I remember more about him just jumping over people in every game.
I also remember how hot it was that day. Miserable.
Yeah.
In the NBA last night, Naz Reid, 13 minutes off the bench for the Timberwolves. Put together a pretty solid night. 3 of 4 shooting from the floor with 8 points. 1 of 2 from behind the arc. 2 rebounds and 2 blocks.
Should have stayed.
I was waiting for it.
It would have been 3 blocks had he stayed.
And probably 9 points.
9 points.
Wouldn't have missed the 3. It would have just been 2
nailed
of 2.
It. Would have nailed it. Should have stayed.
Guess I would have actually made it 11 points. Then Garrett Temple. Tough night and another Pelicans loss. They're 2-14. 15 minutes for Temple. 2 points.
So bad.
1 rebound, 1 assist, a steal, and a block.
Not Garrett, the Pelicans.
Turned the ball over 4 times, unfortunately. Saw his minutes get shortened because of that.
Maybe Willie Green should yell at them after every game and tell them how much they're not playing hard and so like, because it worked once and they got to win.
They did win after that.
But it's like, how many times can you play that card?
Well,
how many times can you go to that well?
Zion's coming back in December. Hopefully he's in shape. And maybe they make a bit of a run for like the play-in or something. Matt, who knows?
Yeah. I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to revert to not talking about the NBA until Christmas Day.
Probably smart.
They should start the season on Christmas Day anyway.
Agreed.
And we're just not missing anything with the team. They're awful. I expected more, even with Zion out.
That's factual. That's also Tigers in the pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, wow her with the little red box. You see him all over. By the way, think about all the philanthropy as well that Lee Michaels does. Can you remember going to a charitable event where there wasn't a red box as an auction item? Lee Michaels has been so generous throughout the years. They're community-oriented. The Lee Michaels family, they inspect every diamond before it goes in the case. And the thing that they preach, the thing that is so important to Lee Michaels, is buying atmosphere. It's making you feel comfortable. Purchasing jewelry, it can be intimidating. A lot of us just don't really know nuance and what we're looking at, so you need someone who does. and someone who can make you comfortable and give you a great experience no matter your budget. That's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, Shreveport, they're all over Louisiana. Find that location nearest you. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, it's after further review. Put a button here on hour number 2. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll talk some Saints with Mike Triplett in 20 minutes from right now. One of the things, no matter who the next coach will be for LSU, that is certainly will be a resource, is the transfer portal. And I want to take a look at some of the players that are in the transfer portal that might be targets for LSU, regardless of who the next coach will be. We'll get into that coming up here after the top of the hour. Glad to have you hanging out on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. National headlines with Sportscenter coming right up.
AFR.
I love telling you about the Williamson Eye Center because at the Williamson Eye Center, every single day, Dr. Blake Williamson gives people an amazing gift. Every day, he gives people the amazing gift of sight. And that might sound silly to say it that way, but if you are someone who's struggled with your vision, if you wear contacts or glasses, you understand it. You know what I'm talking about. What it's like to not be able to see when you wake up in the morning. What it's like to have to squint to see the TV or the crawl, or to feel insecure when you drive at night because it's hard to see street signs or depth perception. Not only is it scary, it can be dangerous. But the Williamson Eye Center, every day, Dr. Blake Williamson gives people the gift of sight. Did it for me 3 years ago. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Call Dr. Blake Williamson at the Williamson Eye Center. Set up that consultation and see how he can help you. If you want to live your life without contacts or glasses, there's a way. The Williamson Eye Center can help. 924-2020.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Callahan Injury Lawyer.
This is SportsCenter. I'm Kevin Winter. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Antonio Brown has been accused of obtaining a fake COVID-19 vaccination card. This according to the Tampa Bay Times. The paper reporting Thursday that according to Brown's personal chef, Stephen Ruiz, AB had his girlfriend reach out to Ruiz over the summer to obtain the fake card, saying he had received the Johnson & Johnson shot. And according to a screenshot of the text message, Brown offered $500 for the fake card. Antonio Brown was unwilling to get the vaccine at the time due to the possible side effects. It's unclear if he's been vaccinated since. Now, the Bucs have issued a statement within the last 30 minutes saying, quote, after an extensive educational process conducted throughout our organization this past offseason highlighting the benefits of COVID-19 vaccines, we received completed vaccinations cards from all Tampa Bay players and submitted the required information to the NFL through the established process in accordance with league policy. All vaccination cards were reviewed by the Bucs personnel. No irregularities were observed. Patriots and the Falcons Thursday Night Football. New England's won 4 straight, 6.5-point road favorite in Atlanta.
We're back Friday reacting to Thursday Night Football as Mac Jones tries to keep this incredible run going as the Patriots go for their 5th straight win, plus an elimination game in the Big Ten. That's Friday morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Matt?
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Mike Triplett, less than 15 minutes from right now. We'll talk some Saints. Ed Orgeron on his radio show last night did give an update on what his team's been working on so far this week as they get ready for the ULM Warhawks coming to Tiger Stadium on Saturday.
On offense, take care of the football. We did a lot of ball security drills. Third down, make sure that we're putting our guys in the right positions, calling the right routes versus the right coverages, having the right protection so we can move the ball down the field in the red zone. The red zone area, we got to score. Plus 20 in, we worked every day this week. We're going to continue to work it. We took the pads off for most of the week. This has been a teaching week for both our offense and defense. Our guys are going to be fresh and ready to play Saturday night.
LSU was really good earlier this year in turnover margin and in red zone efficiency. That has waned a little bit. You would figure they'll have more success against a lesser opponent. Speaking of which, here was Coach O on that ULM Warhawk offense.
But we're chanting around. They're getting empty. They're getting spread. They're in the quarterback draw. They when the quarterback runs. All stuff to outnumber you in the box. And I think Coach Bowden's done a heck of a job with his football team.
Of course, Terry Bowden, the head coach of the ULM Warhawks, his offensive coordinator, Rich Rodriguez. So a little blast from the past. Maybe sometime in the middle, late 90s, this would have been a dynamic coaching tandem, Bowden and Rich Rod. But Terry Bowden has a reputation of building programs, man. He went to South Alabama, went to Akron, and built those programs up, and I think he will do well at ULM. But as a 4-touchdown underdog, it's going to be hard to see ULM coming and having much success against LSU this weekend. But I do like what Ed Orgeron said there as well. Took the pads off, allowed the guys to get healthy, get fresh. It's a game where you should be able to just roll your helmet out there and go win it against ULM. Just get some guys healthy. Ed Orgeron did also mention with the injury report that they're expecting to have both Cordell Flott and Sage Ryan back this week. I am very interested in the decision Cordell Flott's going to have to make. I think of all of LSU's players this year that are going to make draft decisions, that's going to be the most interesting and maybe the most critical for LSU. We understand which guys are seniors and the guys that have returned that are going to leave. A lot of interior linemen on both sides of the ball. If it's Ed Ingram and Austin Deculus, and of course with Neil Farrell and Glenn Logan. Damone Clark's made himself a ton of money. Micah Baskerville's a senior. The guy you really got to look out for is Flott. I mean, Flott's a guy who popped this year. And if I were to give you one on each side of the ball, I'd give you Cordell Flott, I'd give you Ty Davis-Price. Ty Davis-Price was a marginally used guy his first couple of years, and he's become the bell cow this year. And the way that he has splashed, going over 100 yards for the last 5 weeks, if he finishes strong, that's a guy that could make the decision. We all know the shelf life of running backs in the NFL is 3 years, and a lot of times guys decide to not put a bunch of wear and tear on their body and just jump into the league because you just don't typically see running backs drafted highly anyway. I think Ty Davis-Price is one of those guys that's going to have a decision to make along with Cordell Flott, with whether they're going to return or if they're going to jump after this junior year, which does make the next topic of conversation more interesting. Whoever the next head coach at LSU is, that coach is very likely going to tap into the transfer portal. We've talked about it a good bit, not just because the portal is an asset for every program now, but in particular this year because you can oversign this year thanks to the new transfer rule. You can sign your initial 25, and then you can have a 1-for-1 transfer up to 7 signees. So you can sign 25 high school kids, and then if you have 7 players transfer out of your program, you can sign up to an additional 7 players in this class. And you better believe that whoever the new coach is going to come in, evaluate the roster and take a look at certain players and go, yeah, I'll say it bluntly, but he'll cut players. That may not be exactly how you phrase it or word it, but that's what'll happen. You tell players, look, you're not going to play, you need to go find somewhere else. That player transfers out, and the new coach will be able to sign up to 7 transfers. So what positions might LSU be looking at? And one of them that a lot of people are going to talk about is linebacker because LSU's hit that position the last 2 years with Mike Jones and last year with Jabril Cox. Damone Clark and Baskerville are going to be gone. I will be very curious to see if Mike Jones decides to return for another year, and that could be a big, big factor in if LSU addresses that position. But it is also worth noting, for the reason I just mentioned, that defensive back could become a place that LSU has to address. As great as they've recruited and as much as DBU has been a thing at LSU, and justifiably, you're going to lose Derek Stingley. And we're all, fingers crossed, hoping that Elias Ricks is back. And if Ricks is back, then Ricks and McLaughlin are your boundary corners next year. And there's no problem with the starters. But Jay Ward has moved to safety. And Cordell Flott is your nickel, who we've talked about, may go pro. After that, you're not talking about a ton of experience. Darren Evans will be gone. And I don't know that you necessarily want to count on Darren Evans anyway. No disrespect to him, but he's proven that he's not a starting caliber player in the SEC. And then after that, is it Radarius Jones? So when you look at the defensive backs, and ESPN has a piece up where they ranked players in the transfer portal by position. By the way, Miles Brennan they have as the best quarterback in the transfer portal. But if you look at the defensive backs, the most interesting name is the best one they have available. That's Marcus Banks. And if you don't remember, Marcus Banks was at one point committed to LSU. Remember, his dad played at Florida State, tragically passed away, and he was all in on the Tigers. And I don't know what happened. It's been a little while now if it was one of those things where LSU cooled on him or he cooled on LSU. But either way, Marcus Banks ended up decommitting from LSU and signing with Alabama. So he's played in 23 games for the Tide, played in 7 games this season, and he's got a shot to be an impact player at a Power 5. And if LSU ends up thin on numbers at cornerback, Marcus Banks could be a very obvious choice for a guy that could land in Baton Rouge. Now, the offensive line is going to be an obvious one as well, because you're losing at least 3 of your starters. You're losing Liam Shanahan. You're losing Ed Ingram. You're losing Austin Deculus. Cam Wire will be someone worth watching. And you know there's some guys coming back next year that you like. They really like Garrett Dellinger. I think they're very confident that Anthony Bradford can be a starting caliber player. But you're going to count on young guys to come in as well, and that's a position where you haven't had some of your depth step up, and you're going to need players to contribute. This is going to be a curious spot, and I don't know if there's a player in the portal right now that makes a ton of sense, but there could be more. The best offensive lineman available that ESPN lists is Paul Chio, who's a sophomore from Clemson. He was a highly sought-after prospect out of Georgia. Played in 80 snaps as a true freshman last year, 9 games, played in 5 games this year before entering the portal. And they mentioned some Florida schools and Alabama as a possibility, along with Texas. But certainly Southern schools that make a lot of sense. They list Caden Lyles out of Wisconsin, who could well end up staying in the Big Ten. And then they also mentioned a lesser heralded prospect in Kyleon Herbert out of Miami. And Miami, of course, could be headed toward a coaching change as well. So, where Herbert ends up remains to be seen, but it looks like lesser programs like a Western Kentucky is who they mentioned. Interestingly enough, they mentioned Coy Moore as one of the best wide receivers in the transfer portal, and Eric Taylor, the LSU transfer defensive lineman, as one of the defensive linemen, best available defensive linemen in the portal. So you have 3 LSU or former LSU players in the portal listed on this list from ESPN.com. So LSU is going to tap into the transfer portal. Just a couple of names worth keeping an eye on as LSU inches closer to hiring a new coach, and ultimately that coach filling out that roster however it will look. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. Every Thursday, we talk some Saints with Mike Triplett. We'll do that when we return. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you are buying or selling a home, if it's commercial or residential, hire the realtor that sells more homes than anyone. Call Darin James and get your home sold. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. Yes, the home market is scorching hot, and you might think, I'm just going to do it myself. I'll just list my home for sale by owner. Don't do it. I'm warning you, don't do it. 73% of people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor anyway. Why? Maybe you're not properly pricing your home. Maybe you don't have time to be home for showings, whatever it may be. Save yourself the time. Save yourself the hassle. Save yourself the money. Get results. Darin James among the top 1% of realtors in America from the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list. 335-7666. Call Darin James. Get your home sold.
Think real estate. Think Darin James.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. The place is going to be convenient for you during that inconvenient time, and it's even more convenient now. Now you have 8 convenient locations, with the Bruley location just opening up. So go check them out online, patientplusuc.com, because remember, they are your place for your sniffles, for your colds, for your stitches, for your COVID tests. They have all that available over at Patient Plus. For more information, visit them at patientplusuc.com. Get in and get better.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile.
on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We welcome aboard ESPN's Mike Triplett, who's good enough to join us every Thursday here on AFR. Mike, how are you, man?
Oh, good.
Hey,
how you doing?
there you are. How are you, man?
Learned how to use the mute function on my phone, so this is a big day for me.
Did you hit it with your cheek, or did you accidentally tap the button?
No, I had it muted while I was leaving the house, so it's full of all these minion kids and everything like that out of courtesy to your listeners. But then when you actually came to me, I forgot about the important unmuting part.
Yes. That is quite courteous of you. I actually would have preferred the chaos of hearing the minion kids, however, because I think sometimes that's just real life and makes for fun radio. But nonetheless, we do appreciate you for being with us as always. I looked at the injury report today, Mike. Kamara injured again. What was your reaction when you saw the injury report today?
I mean, I wasn't hugely surprised. We saw yesterday that Kamara was not doing a ton, so I wasn't 100% sure that he was back full steam ahead. And I still don't know if this means day on, day off, day on again Friday he plays, or or he had a setback or he didn't feel good enough yesterday. Unfortunately, I don't know the specifics on that, but obviously he's not 100% back yet, and he's very highly questionable for this game. And I think just as disappointing is not seeing Teron Armstead or Ryan Ramczyk out there, because those are guys who have missed Wednesday practices this season and then come back Thursday and Friday and play. For them to be out Wednesday and Thursday, we've got full on oh my gosh, what is this offense going to look like on our hands?
So who, by the way, if Ramczyk doesn't play, who starts at right tackle?
We've seen both Jordan Mills, who's a veteran that's bounced around and come to them this year, and Landon Young, the rookie, take time there. So since that's not a position they've had to replace yet this year, we don't know for sure who it would be, to be honest with you, especially if James Hurst has to play left tackle. And Calvin Throckmorton at left guard, and Cesar Ruiz, who's still kind of on again, off again at right guard. So at some point, there might be too many guys missing for this offensive line, even though they've done such a good job of filling in throughout the year.
Yeah. Hey, what's been your reaction to the way Mark Ingram's played so far?
I'm not really surprised. I mean, I had not monitored him super close, but I know that he had emerged as sort of the best of the 5 veteran running backs that they had in Houston. And he's always had that energy level. I mean, he's just the perfect. It's crazy that Alvin Kamara, I think, is unquestionably the best player on this Saints team. And yet that's one of the guys that you feel the best about him missing a game because you feel like the backup is such a comfortable, obvious backup right now.
Yeah. I know we talked about it last week, and it's kind of becoming sort of a regular thing. You know, Sean Payton after the game in the loss to the Titans did mention, you start looking at players and personnel, and they did that this week. They worked out some receivers. They brought Brett Maher back. The question everyone keeps asking me, I'm sure you're getting it as well, is about Adam Troutman. What do they do there, Mike?
What's interesting about Troutman is he's so good at run blocking, and that's such a big part of this team, that he deserves all those snaps he gets and belongs on the field. But it's tough to say that. Like, you know, he should be on the field for all those snaps, but then you don't feel comfortable throwing him the ball, even when he's open. I mean, obviously he's not going to be a huge first guy in the rotation. He's not going to be a huge part of the game plan. But I don't know if you just completely take him off the field. But I think that's a possibility now with Nick Bennett back healthy, because he is a guy who has been a really good blocker in his career. And, Troutman is, when Sean Payton is talking about, you look at the guys who are repeat offenders, he's right at the top of that list.
Yeah. A couple more on offense. We'll flip it over and talk defense as well. Taysom Hill's another guy that's injured, Mike. I mean, I was going to start to wonder, do we have the conversation about, just to try to jumpstart this offense, do you change it up and start Taysom Hill? But I don't even know that that's an option.
It's not an option. No,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's missed practice both days with a foot injury. He obviously was just coming back from a concussion, and this was always a worry. You know, I've sort of been on team. I'd like to see what it looks like if you really commit to making Taysom Hill your starter. I'd be fascinated to see that with these, but I would list the number one reason not to do that is not only that he's injury prone because he had the injuries in college, but just his style of play is prone to injuries, and now we've seen two of them in the last month for him, which is all the more reason to think he can make Trevor Siemian work. Maybe that's a smarter plan. And Trevor Siemian has done nothing to he's not perfect by any stretch, but he's not doing anything to lose that job. And if anything, he's further cemented his hold on that job the last 2 weeks, I think. So I agree with you that, if this turns into a 4-game losing streak and some of those games turn into the Saints can't move the ball at all and Trevor Siemian's only thrown for 150 yards and he's turned it over a couple times, I have continued to think that we would see Taysom Hill before the season was over. But you're right that certainly seems like a distant possibility right now.
Mike Triplett's with us. So if Taysom doesn't play on Sunday, does that mean Ian Book is active as the backup?
That he was, let's see. He's been active as a backup because, Taysom, when Taysom is in that other role where they have plays in for him as a runner and receiver, he's not the backup quarterback. That's why, Jameis came into the game last year. That's why Peyton said Simeon would have come into a game this year. So I would think even with a healthy Taysom Hill, Book is active as the backup from here until the end of the season. But definitely that's the case if Hill doesn't play.
Oh, man. All right, so they lost in Philly last year. Let's flip the field. A big part of that was both Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts ran for over 100 yards. I mean, that was the defense had that long streak of not allowing a 100-yard rusher, and the Eagles
They still have it. I'm writing about that for tomorrow. It's now 70 games, and that's the only game where they allowed a 100-yard rusher. And they did it twice.
But that's so it's not over. So the streak's over because
the streak's over.
Yeah, right.
But nobody's done it. Nobody did it before, and nobody's done it since.
It's amazing.
That's the only game in the last 70 where they've allowed a 100-yard rusher, and they allowed 200-yard rushers.
So how do they change that this time? Was that just the anomaly?
Well, partly an anomaly. I mean, I think now the Eagles ran for 246 in that game, and that's 66 more than any team has run against them in the last 5 years. So they're a really good running team. It's an anomaly that both those guys got off that much, but they're still probably as dangerous a rushing team as they're going to face. I mean, the Eagles are averaging over 200 yards rushing a game over the last 3 weeks again this year. They're among the best in the NFL. It's probably, right behind the Ravens as a team that poses a great rushing threat. So, you don't just say, oh, they caught us off guard last year and now they're only going to run for 70 yards. I mean, they'll get theirs in this game, but I'll take the under on 246.
I would hope so. Is there anything else defensively where you look in this game and say, yeah, that's got to be better for New Orleans?
Well, here's a funny thing, too, about we were just talking about this. You know, obviously there are a lot of things we could blame for their loss at Tennessee, including that penalty, that egregious penalty, and the 2 missed extra points. And a lot of people say, they didn't get that penalty. Takes a touchdown off the board, they win. They make those extra points, they win by 1. Well, one thing we didn't see the Saints do in that game is have to defend the field and prevent Tennessee from kicking a field goal over the last 90 seconds, which has turned into a weird problem for this team. So we didn't watch a team trying to throw down the field against them to play catch-up. So we do wonder where they're at with that. And Philadelphia, especially if you're going to sell out to stop the run, you're in even more danger of giving up that big, quick strike, 50-yard pass or whatever. Philadelphia's pretty good at that, the play-action pass. So that is another thing to worry about. Obviously, that's nitpicking a little bit. The Saints defense has been really good this year, but those quick strike plays have bitten them a lot over the last month, and that's another thing you don't want to see in this game.
Who is going to kick in this game on Sunday?
I would bet Brett Maher.
Okay.
Although they haven't made that transaction yet, and maybe they need to see him all week, or maybe they want to make sure they've got him secured, and Brian Johnson is on double secret probation, and after the next missed kick is when he gets cut. So I don't actually know, but I do know this. It'll be an adventure every time either kicker goes out there, because that's the new reality for this team.
I mean, it's just so disappointing, man. I mean, it
really is. Out of all the other things they had to deal with this year, that one almost seems unfair. Like, can't you put that kicking pox on another team? This team is already down to its 3rd quarterback and its 5th receiver and its 6th offensive line. But can't you at least let them keep their kicker healthy all year?
No, that's the answer. No. Will Lutz is gone, and now there's this rotating door of Aldrich Rosas and Brett Maher and Brian Johnson, and I don't know, Mike Triplett's going to go kick probably against the Bills on Thanksgiving. I mean, you probably couldn't do any worse if it's just about missing PATs.
No, they probably want me out there, because then they would at least know not even make the attempt.
Yeah, I guess.
In retrospect, they shouldn't have attempted.
Maybe so. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you gotta be able to make PATs in this. That goes without saying. But hey, one big picture question on the Saints. They're a game behind Tampa, which is incredible, but it's also the reality. I mean, you're 5-4, they're 6-3. So they got the 24th. I was looking at FPI earlier. They got the 24th toughest remaining schedule. So they have a manageable schedule the rest of the way. I know it doesn't look good, Mike, but the situation from the 10,000-foot view isn't terrible. So if you were to assess right now, looking ahead for the remainder of the season, provided there's no more absurd injuries and whatnot, like, what does it look like to you?
That's the provided. I mean, you just said it. First of all, a couple things. You can't look at the schedule, because if they want to drop a dud like they did at home against Atlanta a couple weeks ago, so be it. And frankly, if you tell me they're going to play good and beat Buffalo on Thanksgiving night, that wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, you throw the schedule out the window when it comes to the Saints. I'm sure it's true for a lot of NFL teams. It feels especially true for the Saints. But yes, the schedule is not going to be what keeps them out of the playoffs. They can beat the Jets. They can beat the Dolphins. They can win at home against the Panthers. They can win at Atlanta. They can win at Philly. It would be a huge disappointment if they finish the rest of this season under 500 and miss the playoffs. But you can't watch this team and feel comfortable that the flaws can't overtake them. We've seen it happen too many times already over the last month.
He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Make sure you follow him there. Read his stuff at ESPN.com. Does great work. When is the running game piece going to be out?
Either tomorrow morning or Saturday. It will be turned in shortly.
Okay.
I'll tell you that.
Well, it was you and I had not planned to go down that road, but sometimes What are the best laid plans? Well, that actually doesn't apply here, so never mind. I was going down some rabbit hole there, and I failed miserably.
Now I'm going to work in of mice and men reference.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. But I think but isn't the best laid plans of mice and men often go right? Isn't that not even from the book, or is it?
You know what? I have no idea, but I know that whatever the plan that they came up with against Philadelphia's run game last week belongs.
Yes.
Somewhere in the gutter, along with your analogy.
That was I hopefully the Minions party went well, and we appreciate a couple of minutes as always. We'll chat again with you next week.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
All right, man. We'll see you. Good stuff from Mike Triplett. Does a great job. Very grateful for Mike for his time here every week. So if you're not following him on Twitter, make sure you do, at Mike Triplett, and read his stuff there at ESPN.com. All right, it's after further review. We will knock out a quick break. Tiger basketball back on the hardwood 90 minutes from now. They'll play McNeese. We'll get you a preview of that. If you want to play some daily fantasy, DraftKings is always an option. But even better news is that the DraftKings Sportsbook is almost here. People ask me almost every day, Matt, you and Otter, you always talk about odds and betting. Where do you bet? Well, the DraftKings Sportsbook is going to be a great option for mobile betting, which is coming soon to Louisiana. So here's what you do. DraftKings is incentivizing you to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now before mobile betting goes live in Louisiana. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up, it's free, and just for doing that, no deposit required, but just for doing that before they go live, they're going to give you $100 free to play with. Just go to your app store or to Google Play, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. But here's the thing. You got to use the code Baton Rouge. Use the code Baton Rouge. Again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code Baton Rouge, and they'll give you $100 free to play with when mobile betting goes live in Louisiana. Gambling problem, call 1-877-770-STOP. 21 and over, Louisiana only. Availability varies by parish. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions. Okay, Ed Orgeron is meeting with the media as we speak, and he has made a quarterback announcement. We'll share that with you when we return, and we will also give you one last thumbnail look at LSU and McNeese hoops tonight at the Maravich Center. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Better coverage for less money. That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. I tell you every day, call 293-0450, 293-0450. And I would always recommend that, but they do close at 5. So this might actually be a better time to log on to the website, lainsurance.net, lainsurance.net. Consistently, happens all the time. I keep hearing, whenever I chat with Adam and Jay and the guys, consistently hear Liberty Mutual, Liberty Mutual, Liberty Mutual. So many times when they rewrite policies, it's for people who have their insurance, their coverage presently with Liberty Mutual, and they're just overpaying. So go to the website, lainsurance.net, lainsurance.net. At the top of the page, you'll see the quotes tab. Just hit the quotes tab, fill out a little info, and they'll get rolling, try to get you better coverage for less money. 293-0450, 293-0450. Stop overpaying to be underinsured. Let them shop to get you better coverage for less money. Online, lainsurance.net.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
And our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home.
and I never knew where I was going next. But then you came along.
There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, basketball Tigers on the hardwood tonight against McNeese. We'll get you one last preview. Otter is out, so Hanny is in for Otter Locks, but the Otter did make sure to text me, Colucci! It is the Colucci's picks, if you're interested. Flyers and Canadians. These are always money line plays for Colucci, so no puck line, money line unless otherwise stated. So Flyers and Canadians, those are Colucci's picks tonight. So, get rich, everybody. Hanny coming up here, filling in for the Otter shortly. Wilson Alex, Ed Orgeron's meeting with the media, or maybe he might have just wrapped up here after practice. Ed Orgeron did say that Micah Baskerville will be a game-time decision, so you could see a new body there at linebacker. Wilson Alexander tweeted, though, about the quarterbacks. Garrett Nussmeier will take the redshirt year. He will not play in the next two games. Matt O'Dowd is now LSU's backup quarterback. So should something happen to Max Johnson, Matt O'Dowd would play at quarterback for LSU. No word on what an emergency quarterback situation would be, but O'Dowd, if you're not familiar, we talked about him when he committed to LSU. He is a walk-on, but Matt O'Dowd was a two-star recruit out of the state of Florida. He went to Stoneman Douglas, which is the same school, if I'm not mistaken, that Sean Ochinko went to. And he's from Pompano Beach, which is where Patrick Peterson is from. So a lot of ties down to that area, but he was a two-star recruit coming out of Stoneman Douglas, 6'2", 204-pounder. He's a freshman, so he's a freshman walk-on. And if something should happen to Max Johnson, Matt O'Dowd would be the quarterback for LSU over the final two games of the season with ULM this weekend, and then Texas A&M in the regular season finale a week from Saturday. This just reinforces exactly what I said about playing Nussmeier last week. You could certainly argue that Max Johnson hadn't played well enough to warrant keeping the job and not being pushed. But I also don't think Garrett Nussmeier had done anything to warrant getting the opportunity. They gave it to him anyway, and it cost LSU a game. I'm not going to say LSU lost because of Garrett Nussmeier, but I do believe that LSU would have won that game had Max Johnson continued playing. There's no way to definitively say that, I understand. But the turnovers cost LSU, and those are turnovers that we have a large enough sample size to say that Max Johnson wouldn't have made. I gave you the comp in 2017. Ed Orgeron knew in 2017 there was so much pressure on him because there was a lot of people who didn't want him to have that job. And he had to win games. And when they lost to Troy, the pressure got ramped up and the heat got ramped up dramatically. And they stopped playing Miles Brennan the remainder of the season, even though Matt Canada wanted Brennan because Brennan had a better skill set than Danny Etling. But Orgeron said, I have to play the guy that is going to run this offense and not make mistakes and not throw it to the wrong team so I can win games and keep my job. And so he played Danny Etling that season, even though Brennan certainly had the higher ceiling. And you flip it on its head to this past weekend, it was the exact opposite decision. Ed Orgeron wasn't coaching for his job. He was just seeing if Nussmeier could play because he didn't have anything to lose. He's already been fired. It's cost him a game and likely cost LSU an opportunity to bowl game. So, but anyway, Nussmeier will take the red shirt. He will not play the remainder of 2 games. It'll be Max and then Matt O'Dowd will be the backup here for the Tigers the rest of the way. Got to remind you about HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's me and my partners over at HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. We are still every day fielding calls from people who had storm damage from Hurricane Ida. If that's you, give us a shout at HUDCO Roofing. The thing that I would highly recommend, though, you can certainly call, but I would highly recommend you go to the website. There's a Contact Us Now tab right there at the homepage at HUDCOroofing.com. Fill out a little info. Boom, you're automatically ingested in our system. We'll get you scheduled. If you've already called your insurance company, maybe the adjusters come out, maybe you have your scope of work, maybe you've already got a check from the insurance company, give us a shout. If that's the case, pick shingle color. Boom, we'll get you on the schedule. We will get to you before the holidays. I tell you, we have materials, we have labor, we are jamming and ready to roll. So, HUDCOroofing.com. I really want to make sure that if you're listening on our New Orleans affiliate 100.3, maybe you're in Metairie, maybe you're in the Lakeview area, or maybe you're in Luling or River Ridge or down in the Bayou region. So many of those areas were hard hit. LaPlace. If you're having trouble getting anybody to come to you, give us a shout. We're ready to roll. HUDCO Roofing and HUDCOroofing.com. HUDCOroofing.com. LSU hoops tonight on their home floor against McNeese. Will Wade, when he met with the media, did talk about what he's looking to see from his team, where they can get better. That wasn't Will Wade.
We got to do a better job. I know everybody likes to write about we've done well closing out games, but we hadn't been very good to start games. We have yet to be able to play a complete game because we haven't started games well. So we went into that yesterday. I started looking at our warm-up yesterday. I'm going to change our warm-up routine. I'm going to change some different things because I'm not real pleased with how we've been starting the game. I'm also not pleased that we're turning the ball over too much. We've yet to get our game goal of 10 or fewer turnovers. We're coughing the ball up, and if we continue to do that against a team like McNeese, they're going to take those turnovers and flip it to easy offense. And then we got to get back on the glass. We got out-rebounded for the first time all year last game against Liberty, and that's just not acceptable. That's not going to work. We missed some checkouts. We ran in and tried to do some pretty stuff instead of doing our jobs and doing what we were supposed to do. So we need to get back to checking out as well.
So Will Wade said he wants to get off to a better start. You can change the warm-up routine, but how else they get off to a better start?
I've looked at everything because we're not starting how we need to start. All right. The starting lineup, the energy, the warm-up. I think we're going to change our warm-up routine. I'm not real happy with that. I've listened to the players on some stuff, and then some of it I don't listen to. I don't like, our pregame meal. I don't think we're eating enough and fueling right during the day. There's a lot of stuff that goes into having energy to get off to a good start. Breakfast the morning of the game. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and we're not handling our business like we need to on that stuff, and so we'll get it fixed.
He's just so maniacal. We've talked about it since he was hired, all the way down to the optimal sleeping temperature in the hotel room when the team's on the road. He looks at everything. His attention to detail is maniacal, but it's also why they're so good all the time, despite whatever shortcomings or injuries they may have. And like we've said, this team on its roster checks every box. Can they put it all together? Can the chemistry be there? Can the fast start be there? Can all the different elements of the game be there as they improve and get better? If so, this is a team that's going to make a lot of noise in March. So a layup tonight. Forgive the basketball pun. A layup tonight for LSU against McNeese. Tigers are 28-point favorites against the McNeese Cowboys. But next week, it gets a little more sincere. You're going to play Belmont. You're going to go down to Destin, play Penn State, and then either Oregon State or Wake Forest. So the challenges, the pre-conference challenges are coming for this basketball team. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. We'll knock out our final break of the show, come back. We'll do what we learned. We'll have Otter Locks with Hanny filling in for the Otter. Glad you're with us on AFR.
AFR.
Pinnacle Exterior Construction. Check out that Pinnacle Green. I tell you every day, if you're looking to make your boring backyard, that outdoor space into a showplace, your own oasis, your own sort of luxury getaway, Pinnacle Exterior Construction can help. 757-6138, 757-6138, or pecbuilt.com. You can see pictures of all their work. And I tell you, outdoor kitchens, custom pools, fences, decks, bulkheads, they do all of that. Really want to stress that if you are thinking about a pool at your home, call Pinnacle now. Call Pinnacle now. Let them come out, do the assessment, get the plans together. Then you can get on the schedule around the first of the year. While the weather's still cold, let them build your pool so when the weather's nice, you're swimming. It's Pinnacle Exterior Construction. 757-6138, 757-6138, or pecbuilt.com.
Right now, at Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get a new Highlander with 1.9% financing for 72 months, or we have several new Tundras in stock with the 5.7 V8 engine. So come see us today for your new Toyota. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch we come, wrapping up a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Blue Bond in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. We got one thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, Presented by Clark Crane Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in St. Francisville. Because a great deal is worth the short drive to Clark Crane.
Otter is out. He's at Ethan's football banquet, I believe you told me. So Hanny is in. Hanny, how are you?
Doing good, Scone. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Where are you tonight, by the way? Got to be Jolie Pearl, yeah?
Yeah, we are at Jolie Pearl, freshly decorated for Christmas, man. You wouldn't believe. I mean, we were just here last week, and they did the decorations this week. Since then, I mean, this place looks like Christmas Wonderland, whatever you want to call it. I don't think there's an inch of wall here that doesn't have some decorations on it.
That's awesome. It's a great spot in downtown Baton Rouge. If you're looking for something to do tonight, get out tonight. Handy, we got a little LSU hoops. We got some college football. We got the NFL. Anything pique your interest tonight?
Yeah, a couple things. Let's start with the NFL game. This number is 6.5 or 7, depending where you shop. 7's really intriguing to me if you can get the Falcons plus 7. I think that there's a little bit of a line adjustment here, given the results last week. The Cowboys blew the Falcons out, and the Patriots couldn't have looked any better in beating the Browns. So you're talking about 2 35-plus point victories, and I think this line's a little bit higher than it needs to be. I think it's probably, if there had been normal results last week, this would be like Patriots -4, 4.5. If you can get 7, take the Dirty Birds and the 7 points. These Thursday night games, traditionally you get a little bit of sloppiness. The average margin of victory is under a touchdown in these games, and underdog 6-4 against the spread on Thursday night footballs this year. So it's just a bunch of little edges. I'm not going to tell you the Falcons are better than the Patriots, but I like the home team on the short week catching the 7.
Okay.
The other game is the college game, Louisville and Duke. Look, nobody's going to recommend Duke right now. They haven't won a game in 2 months. Most of the time they've looked bad doing it. So it would be easy to just say take Louisville, and Malik Cunningham has been hot coming off that monster game against Syracuse last week. But, man, there's just something in my DNA that says you don't give 3 touchdowns to the road favorite on a Thursday night. And this is a true short week for these teams. They didn't have a bye last week. So instead, I'm going to go with the over here. 60 is the total here. Duke has been blown out, but they've been able to score at home. Against Pitt, the final was 54-29. Against Georgia Tech, it was 31-27. Against Kansas, it was 52-33. So they put up some points at home. I expect that Duke defense to get shredded by Cunningham tonight. So if the Dukies can kick in some points, I like over the total of 60 in the college game.
You staying away from the LSU basketball game tonight?
Yeah, I want to see more. I'll be honest with you. These bye games here, when you're at the early part of the basketball season, man, that's a crapshoot. So I'm gonna see more. There's some really attractive LSU games, some non-conference games in the month of December that I think will be fun to bet. Because I was looking ahead at the schedule, Matt. I don't think they're going to be an underdog until at the very earliest Auburn, which is at the very end of December, and I think they could potentially be a favorite in that game if they have a good run in December. They may not be an underdog until maybe the second week in January. So let me see more. There'll be plenty of other chances. I'm laying off the Tigers tonight.
All right, game time with Jimmy Ott. Hanny is in for Ott tonight. They're at Jolie Pearl, getting started here in about 7 minutes as soon as we wrap up. Hanny, we appreciate it, man. Have a great show.
Thanks, Colin.
All right, be well. This is After Further Review. Love telling you about mycleanliving.net, mycleanliving.net. NASA technology in their air purifiers, air and surface, proven to eliminate dozens of pathogens. It's cold and flu season. COVID is still hanging around. You want to keep your family safe, your workplace safe, your home safe. Maybe you're a business owner. You want to make people feel comfortable coming in, or just to reduce these pathogens around the holiday season. mycleanliving.net. You can call Jennifer, the local rep, 413-2299, 413-2299. Any questions, you want a demonstration, she can help you out, 413-2299 or mycleanliving.net. All right, wrapping up here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Basketball Tigers are at home against McNeese. This is obviously it's going to be a runaway with LSU at home. Interesting, Wade did talk about the turnovers that McNeese has been able to force. So see if LSU can protect the football. As far as the NFL game tonight, did you all make a pick on early line for the game? What did you like?
I took the Pats. I went with public on it just because I've been burned by the Falcons already a couple times this year. So nope.
For me, it's probably a stay away just because of the Cordero Patterson injury. Did they make a determination? I haven't looked. Is he going to play?
He's still a game time decision.
Okay. Man, as thin as they are offensively, I do agree with Hanny though. You're getting 7 points, a home dog. You're getting a touchdown, and I do think there's a lot of overreaction. Otter picked didn't Otter say Falcons as well?
Yeah, he did.
He went with the Falcons. And the college game is interesting. Hanny playing the over in that Duke-Louisville game. Duke's getting 21. I'm actually looking at 20.5 right now. I guess it depends where you shop. But the over is an interesting play, and I could get down with pouring a whiskey and cheering for a bunch of points on a Thursday night football game in Durham. It sounds like it's a pretty good way to spend the evening. So bet wisely, and remember the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download it, sign up, use the code Baton Rouge. As soon as they go live with mobile betting, they'll give you $100 free to play with. All right, Muse, what'd you learn today?
Trevor Siemian wants to air it out.
Yeah, man, and I really hope they do. I understand Sean Payton being a little pensive and careful, but come on, man. Let's air that thing out, go win a game. Paulie, what'd you learn?
Matt O'Dowd, the new LSU backup.
Matt O'Dowd, walk on from Florida. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas is the new backup quarterback. Nuss will take the red shirt.
What did you learn, Matt?
RC has put his name into the ring to be the LSU head coach. For $12 million, he said he will absolutely put his name. He formally did that today. Y'all have a great night. Game time is next.
AFR.
All right, we're getting on down the road. Let me take 60 seconds before we bounce to remind you about South Point Volkswagen. So many of you might be in the market for a new vehicle, and you're all very aware of the microchip shortage by now and how that's impacted the supply chain and how that's impacted supply and vehicle shortages. At South Point Volkswagen, they actually do have a nice amount of inventory on the lot. So go check them out. Airline just north of Highland, or shop online at southpointvw.com, because like I tell you all the time, if it's on the lot, it's online. You can tap new vehicles right there and search the inventory, southpointvw.com. If the vehicle's on the lot, you'll see the picture of the exact vehicle that's there at southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online, southpointvw.com. It's at South Point Volkswagen. Sign then drive, still going on. 0 down, 0 due at signing. No first month's payment, no security deposit. One place only. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Thanks, you're ready. Yardbirds up. Veggies in the window.
Barbecue guys, born to grill.
Pops, how many steaks you want?
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down.